Good evening, gents. Thank you all for coming. On this very special night, we have a very special guest, Brother
I'm so
Crusader
that's
Nate.
where what's going on, everybody. I don't know if I'd say very special. I'm just another guy.
Oh, come on now. You're a legend everywhere, but you never appeared here. So
Dude,
this is a first.
I've been on I've hopped in on a couple of years, previously, but not, nothing, you know, special like this. Dude, I'm nobody. I'm just another guy in the group.
Oh no, I think you're a great addition. If Billy was Starsky, you'd be his Hutch. Definitely. You know, the Twin
Thanks.
Crusaders.
Yeah. You got a great sense of humor, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I
Uh,
try, buddy. If it's either have a sense of humor, like Pop says, or fucking go on a killing spree. So
oh
I
yeah.
made my choice so far.
Right.
So
One that
far.
gives you a little bit more freedom.
That's right. And you know what? I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you a question because it kind of will tie into tonight's topics when
Sure.
it comes to young men, especially.
Yeah.
You said you're 45?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm turning 40. Most of the
Okay.
guys that we know are, late 30s
Yep.
and beyond.
Yeah.
I've
37,
asked a
55.
Yeah, I've asked a bunch of the guys the same question. If you could right now jump into the body of a 20-year-old man, would you do it?
Um, like whole new life, like
You have to live through this fucking world right now as a 20-year-old.
taking what I know now, can I take my entire base of knowledge
Sure.
in a heartbeat?
Really? Everybody else has said fuck no.
Oh yeah,
You be the first one to say yes.
dude,
Because nobody seems to want to fucking deal with the 20s right now.
dude. If I could take my base of knowledge, everything I've learned in my 45 years, and go back to being 20 years old, I would be. Oh, dude, the things I would be able to do and get away with.
Really? Like, wouldn't go like a billionaire and fucking invest in certain things or anything like that? You would just fucking what
Oh,
coast through life? What would you do that would be so different?
um, well, first off, I mean, knowing what I know now, I mean, I know a lot of small details when it comes to like research. I spent the vast majority of my academic career studying and planning to go towards the FBI's behavioral sciences unit,
Hmm.
studying genetics and human behavior. Um, so when it comes to understanding body language, linguistics, genetics, neurology, these are all things that like I watch people in society,
Right.
and I can pick out certain things like, okay, this person's gonna, going by this, and this, this is the type of person I'm gonna be dealing with. Dude, I could literally go back in time. Like if I could go back to being like snap a finger, wake up, be 20 years old tomorrow. Oh, dude.
See, I think most of us look at the people we'd have to deal with and we're like, fuck that. We have to hear enough of their garbage, see enough of their fucking nonsense just as an afterthought. If we
Yeah,
had to
well,
be part of that circle, we just
well,
check the fuck out.
well,
Honestly, we check the
well,
fuck out. Everybody's like, fuck no, we're out.
the thing is, like, I can hear pop. I would hear pop in my head at least every 5 to 10 minutes. Were you fucking with it?
You
Because I would
fucking
be.
do it. Yeah.
I would seriously be playing so many freaking mind games on people, and I would be just living it up.
Really? See,
Oh
I
yeah.
can't see it as being as entertaining anymore, you know what I mean? Like the people are
Ah,
so fucking unhinged right now
I know, and that's the best
that
part about it.
it's like
You
it's almost like kicking a dead horse, you know what I mean?
well,
It's like it's already retarded and fucking dumb. Like
yeah,
why kick
well,
it?
now, I mean, you're out of your 20s, um, and when I was in my 20s, I had so much fun. Um, I
Yeah,
was,
in our 20s. Yeah, in our 20s shit was fun.
well, yeah, it was. But see, the thing is, if I go back to being in my 20s, number one, I would never have social media. I know enough about people. What's up, Jeff?
Yeah, he
Oh,
ain't
people are
wrong.
offended by breathing. That's right.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
and
Who
the
the
thing is,
fuck wants to see that?
you know how fast you can get somebody spun up with just a look,
Oh, dude.
and you could just
Yes.
literally, you could literally have people just snapping in public just from a look.
Yeah.
And
Well,
dude, I would find, call me sick and twisted, but I would definitely enjoy that and just watching people just fly off the handle and go nuts.
so would you do like what Doug Edwards would do and just dress in all of his MAGA gear and walk downtown like fucking Seattle?
Oh no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 dude. I would be more along the lines of doing stuff like the Tinder swindler kind of guy.
Hmm.
I will be doing stuff like that, but I would just like hang people out to dry constantly. I will be playing so many psychological games on people that you'd have all these people in all these different places looking for this one guy that nobody has ever seemed to get a picture of or know who he is or where he's from or his real name. Dude, I would be doing that all over the United States. But I'd be doing it in small towns.
So you would become like Mayfly Man?
Uh
Basically used all of these identities for just like a day or two?
maybe. Maybe
Or
that long.
who's the other one?
Um
Saint Germain?
I don't know
He
that
was
one.
apparently like 600 years old, according to the history books. Obviously, it wasn't all one man, but some group decided to basically play a
Yeah.
role
Yep.
of one man
Yep.
throughout a huge span of time.
Yeah.
Almost like the whole Zorro legend, where it was
Right. Yeah.
a master and an apprentice. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. And
And they would take over that identity.
that's exactly what I would do. But can you imagine building a community of doing something like that that was like the Tinder swindler? Like you get teach someone how to be charismatic, teach somebody how to read people, how to read crowds, how to be able to look at what someone's going to be self-conscious about, look at somebody who's going to be um, being able to identify minor details of people with low self-confidence, look at that and be able to play with that and, as evil as it sounds, manipulate that for your own entertainment.
Oh, you see, it sounds fun. In an evil way, it sounds fun. Um, but
Just saying,
yeah,
hypothetically.
hypothetically. Okay, well, I mean, I could see where that would, if that entertains you, that entertains you. I mean, the rest of us just couldn't think of, like, we couldn't look at a 20-year-old or a group of 20-year-olds right now and say, these are the people I have to fucking, like, interact with and socialize with and be around without thinking suicide's starting to look pretty goddamn tasty.
Oh, the way I look at it is look at what was his name, Joe, in Idiocracy.
I didn't see that one.
You haven't seen Idiocracy? Oh my God, you need to see
Oh,
that.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
That was a TV series, wasn't it?
No, it was Mike Judge, the guy that made Beavis and Butthead. It was a movie script he wrote, like 2003 or 2004. The movie came out, I think, 2006, where the basic premises of the movie is those that are intelligent waited to have kids and wound up not having kids, while the younger and dumber people were out breeding like rabbits and drove the IQ down to the point where the average IQ was like 60.
What did I do now, Ape?
You had
What
one
did I
job.
do? Excuse me. Sorry, I'm really flemmed up tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah. No,
Yeah.
like I said, man, I've talked to a bunch of the guys and we've all kind of discussed it. And it's like, ain't worth it. Ain't fucking worth it, man. We couldn't touch the fucking, like, can you imagine even, okay, let's say you had to go to a college, right?
Yeah.
For one fucking day right now.
Yeah.
And you had to walk by all of these fucking social justice warriors, trans warriors,
Oh yeah.
fucking BLM warrior coming ups and go in and listen to those teachers
Mm-hmm.
and you couldn't
Yep.
knock those teachers the fuck out?
Nope.
Nope.
I could manage that. I could
Uh,
easily manage that.
Really? You're a sick,
Oh,
twisted individual, man. I don't know why I brought you on here.
I'm
It's
telling you,
that
man. I, dude, I am. I will admit, I am a sick and twisted individual. The way my brain thinks and the way my brain works. Oh yeah, I
yeah,
will openly admit that.
rest of us couldn't touch that with a fucking 10-foot pole. And keep our
Oh,
sanity. Not and keep our sanity. That's the
oh.
thing. We would
Oh.
go nuts.
See, the thing is I would be the gray man. I would be the one that would sit there and play their games, jump through their hoops, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, make them think that I'm the absolute picture perfect person, learn everything about them, learn everything about their way of life, their way of thinking, and then I would deconstruct the entire thing without them understanding it or realizing it. But you got to look at it this way. If you were to see somebody walking down the sidewalk and you know there's an uneven spot, would you point out to them that there's an uneven spot and people trip?
Probably.
See, I wouldn't.
Oh, you're an evil bastard. Sorry, Nate. Evil bastard. I'm sorry, guys. I brought on the wrong person. Evil bastard.
Now,
Uh,
with that mindset, go back to being 20 years old. How much fun would you have?
I'd be an evil bastard too. I gotta admit it. I think I'd be an evil bastard all the way. I
Yeah.
mean, I would be the one who's like getting these guys together, setting them up to do fucking crimes, and then calling Crime Stoppers.
Yep.
Be like,
Exactly.
"Where's my 2 grand?" You know what I mean? And I'd record the whole fucking thing.
Right.
I'd
Like
have a
you.
complete change of clothes so I didn't look like them.
Yep. Exactly. And now
When the
going back and looking at it that way, how much fun would you have?
How much fun would I have? Sorry, I was coughing there.
That's right. If you could get away with doing that every single day, hour upon hour, how much fun would you have doing that?
Okay, I'd probably have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I had an evil bastard partner like yourself, I think I'd have fucking way more fun because nothing helps me other than peer pressure. Right?
Oh, come on,
That's
man.
what
Everyone's doing it.
gets me going. Peer
Oh, yeah.
pressure gives me encouragement, and I will make that shit happen. So yeah, we could probably have a bit. Okay, I tell you what. From your point of view, from your argument, yes, I would do it. However, anything outside of that, and I just say no, fuck you. I'm not doing that. Fuck that. Forget. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm
But
out.
that's like I know Blake and Pop have told me I'm a sick and twisted individual, so I'm not going to argue that fact.
I think they're right. I'm not gonna lie, man. I think the both of them might be right. You know what? We can't all be wrong.
So I'm noticing a trend here.
Nothing, yeah, I'm noticing there's a trend. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the topic, young men today,
Yes.
especially, we're looking at like a second generation right now that has been raised by single mothers, right?
Right.
And of course, the indoctrination has been done to their parents that are sometimes our age, right?
Oh yeah.
And we've all met those people. We've all met these
Oh yeah.
crazy fucking full-grown adults that believe and promote the crazy ideology,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, Technically, I like to think that that all stemmed from the single mother household. Like
Goes
that
back
is the,
further.
yeah, but I think it's the leading cause of the problems, right? A lot of people agree with that. We have young men that are being raised at best, right? If they do have their fathers in their lives, their fathers are not doing a very good job. Not that they all aren't trying, you know what I mean? I don't want to kick fathers when they're down, but there are a lot of men out there that don't know how to be fathers. You know what I mean? They treat their children just like they treated their moms treated them, which was essentially
Yeah.
like, as soon as you get to a certain age, I'm done with you. My part's over.
Hmm.
Whatever you've learned, and
Right.
really, I didn't teach you anything other than you survived, and
Right.
now you're on your own.
I kept you alive this long. Now you're on your own.
Now you're on your own, and that's
Yeah.
essentially all they do. Where fathers are generally the teaching roles, right? For the most
Traditionally
part,
speaking.
yeah. For the most part,
Yeah.
young men learn their skills, right, to take out
Yep.
into the world, generally from their fathers, or they get involved with the some traits, right, or they learn
Right.
their work ethics, or they learn their
Right.
their manners, everything from their
Mhm.
fathers. From their mothers, they see how wives should take care of children, how wives should take care of husbands and their households and things like that. Not that they both don't work together in that sense, right? Especially in the household. Men and women work together in the household for forever,
Right.
right?
Well, that's what has allowed humankind to, flourish and to make it to this point, is men and women working together.
Exactly.
Um, and if you look at it, there's the current. I don't know how many times I've seen it or I've heard other people say it all over the place. How women talk about how women are oppressed, and women have been locked in the house and locked in the kitchen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at this. Where in If you were in a rustic town, if you were in a very bad area, you're in a frontier area, you're in an area where literally everything can kill you.
Yeah.
Where's the safest place for you to be?
At home with your family.
Right. Is that oppressing somebody, keeping them out of danger, or is that protecting them?
Yeah. Giving somebody a shelter or maintaining said shelter,
Right.
right? Maintaining the steady flow of incomes or resources. I mean,
Right.
show me the oppression.
Right.
Show
Okay,
me the
yeah.
oppression.
Right. Let's see.
Somebody get
Uh,
that bot.
right.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah. I didn't even see it pop up yet. Uh,
Thank you, Ape. Ape just nailed him.
nice.
Oh,
Good
sorry,
job.
go ahead.
But yeah, if you look at it in primitive, I mean, even going back to the Middle Ages, building building a shelter, that's dangerous. Hunting,
Mhm.
that's dangerous. Felling trees, that's dangerous. Splitting firewood to be able to heat a home to cook a meal, that's dangerous. Um, Protecting the home and the food storages and stuff from other types of predators, whatever it may be, that's dangerous. And men, we do that instinctually. We protect. That's what we do.
Yeah, we protect and provide,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
We're also
So,
the logical thinkers because we
right.
don't, it's not that we don't care. And this is where I get into a lot of fights with a lot of people on every fucking side of it. To think that men don't care about their offspring or their families as much as women do is a fucking joke and a half, and you just need to shut that shit right the fuck up.
Yeah. Men look at children as their legacy, as a portion of them that will live on. Um, and men have come to grips with their own mortality, and the way they've come to the grips of their own mortality is the fact that they've had a legacy, a second generation to carry on
Mhm.
their lessons in their life. A portion of them lives on in their offspring.
Right. Absolutely. Not only that, but as you've stated, general life is dangerous, right?
Yes,
There's
yes,
a good chance that we will be offed or evacuated from our meat suits much
right,
earlier than we normally
yeah,
would.
oh yeah,
There's a good chance of that.
right,
So we want somebody to be well informed, well
right,
educated,
right,
and well established to
right,
take over the role should we
correct,
go,
right.
right?
Because I can't remember the name of it. Was it the Day of the Comet, or there's a movie it's a B horror movie from the 80s where they look. There's a comet that flies by Earth and takes away like 50 or 90% of humanity off the face of the Earth. Um, and then they talk. It's kind of the whole how the whole thing happened. And then if you look, the History Channel, I think it was 10 years ago, did a mini series on what would Earth look like if people just suddenly vanished.
Yeah.
Um, what 95% of all your plumbers are men. 95% of all your builders are men. 95% of all your electricians are men. All your electrical linemen are men.
Yeah.
Um, Road crews, concrete crews. Um,
Pretty much everything. Like,
if it weren't for the men of previous generations, we wouldn't have the comfortable life we do now.
well, Big Tell by Logic is not wrong here, and neither is Ape. Ape, yes, we do see it as a duty, and men
Yes.
even today, even young men. if you said, "What is your duty as a man?"
Right.
Young men will still probably have some of that in most places because women do install duties into men. They do not install them into women anymore, though.
Um,
For the most part, they don't do that.
no, there's not any socially constructed duties in women like there used to be.
No,
Um,
not even
and the
close.
duties that are being instilled into the younger men today are only being instilled by the women who are using those younger men to manipulate them for their own benefit.
Exactly. Exactly. It's exactly why right now we will never change the laws. Politicians
No.
will never agree to change the laws because of the simple fact that if they mention that they were going to make, say, even the family courts a more equal society kind of thing, right? To
Yeah.
level the playing field and allow fathers to have joint custody of their children, they know and they have stated
Oh.
that they know that they will lose all the fucking support of their women.
Oh yeah.
All the support of their
Well,
women voters is gone.
Jordan Peterson said it a couple years back that when it comes to the um, I don't know how to say it the best way to avoid algorithmic problems. Um, those who are the fanatical double X chromosome individuals, um, if what is it? If they didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any.
Yeah.
They want equality only for the good things, never for the bad, and only when it suit. They only want equality when it suits them, where they gain.
Yeah. It's all
Um,
about their gains, right?
right. They
They
don't,
don't
they
look
don't
at they don't
understand.
look at
They don't
sorry, go
understand the
ahead.
negative end of it. They don't understand the negative end of it.
Well, not only that, but they don't see the negative consequences of what a long-term effect looks like,
Correct.
right? They don't see that, oh, if you allow me to basically sell out the man that I made children with,
Right.
right? For cash and prizes
Right.
and, the government forcing him to take care of me and them taking care of me,
Right.
right? They don't see the negative fucking side effects of that. It's like, oh, well, my children now have lost all access to their father.
Right.
And let's face it, it can't be done, ladies. If any of
Yeah.
you are listening, you cannot raise a man to be a man. I'm
No,
sorry. You can
you
raise a
can't.
man to be alive, but you cannot raise him to
Well,
be a man.
you can ensure he survives to a certain point in time in his life.
Yeah, that's it. And
Um,
that's all they're good for.
right. Um, now, I met a couple of people over the weekend. Young kid moved to the United States from India, and 20 years old, hustling. He's an Uber driver. He's going to college, delivering pizzas. Um, Kid's busting his butt. And he's like, I have no time. He goes, and nor do I want the hassle, the headache, or the stress of going out and dating. He goes, it's nothing. He goes, it's all risk and there's no reward.
Yeah,
This dude's 20 years old
yeah,
and he knows this already. I mean, like, dude, I'm like, have you ever heard of men going their own way? And yeah, I have actually. He goes, I never really realized that, I am kind of going my own way. I'm
right.
like, yeah, you are. I'm like, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And
He's
you
like,
know what? If that type of logic was actually in most young men, by the time they
oh,
turned 18, they would look at their mother and their situation and say, "Fuck this, I'm out.
oh yeah,
I'm
easily.
breaking that cycle right here."
Oh, and I think we're now starting to see that because the Gen X, uh, the baby boomers had a real easy life. Baby boomers provided a very easy life to Gen X and millennials. And now I remember sitting down with my old man, God, 30 years ago, and he was telling me, he goes, you know what? He goes, you had it pretty good. He goes, you had it better than I did. I had it better than my dad did. He goes,
Mhm.
unfortunately, he goes, your generation is going to be the one that later on, when you have kids, they're going to have it worse than you. He goes, they're going, cycles. It'll go up, it'll go down, it'll go up,
Yeah,
it'll go down. And he
the
said, it's
whole
going to have to come down soon.
Strong men make easy times make weak men
Right.
make hard times. It's a
M-
vicious cycle.
Yeah, my old man
Vicious
told me that
cycle.
I was like 13 to 15 years old, somewhere in that
Wow.
range. Yeah. So my old man, it sucked at the time, but one summer, uh, one of my old man's friends had 500 acres of land out in the middle of nowhere, and my dad basically said, "Hey, go out to this guy's land. He'll pay you for it, but we want you to string a barbed wire fence around all 500 acres. You got 3 months across a swamp, around ponds, up hills, down hills, around bluffs. I ran a barbed wire fence around 500 acres, and it took me 3 months,
Jesus
up
Christ.
up from sun up till sundown.
No shit. I've
Every
done
day.
string and barbed wire. I didn't do no 500 acres, but yeah, we put in posts by fucking hand and had to
Yep.
fucking string it all up. We
Yeah.
didn't have a fucking nice post pounding machine to drive along and go
No.
pop 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 down you go.
No. I had to do it with like a 6 pound sledge,
Yeah,
and
a post holder.
I didn't have that.
You didn't have a post holder? Oh, you poor bastard.
No, I was the pole slider that's gray that slides over the top of the post.
Yeah.
I had that,
Okay.
and I had the barbed wire stretcher.
That's brutal. And you had to go through the fucking marsh and everything with that?
Yep. Yep.
That sucks.
Yeah. So that was, I think that was like the summer from between like 8th grade and like my freshman year of high school. Then next summer, my dad had me work with a carpenter. Next year, he had me work with an electrician. Next year, he had me work with a plumber. Next year, he had me work with somebody else he knew.
Mhm.
So I learned a ton of stuff from all these different guys.
So you did a
And
lot of like what you would consider apprentice work.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and I learned so much. And now that I'm in my 40s, I run into so many people like, uh, my drain doesn't work. I'm like, yeah, you don't know how to fix it?
Mm.
No. Here, this is what you need. This is how you do it. I talk them through them. I don't fix it. I basically coach them through fixing their own problem. You got a problem? Now you got the tools. Handle it yourself from now on.
Yeah.
And those are the lessons that young men need to learn today.
But that's
Um,
just it. Even the fundamentals of taking care of a household.
oh,
Most men didn't they weren't professionals. You
no.
know what I mean? By any means. My
Oh,
dad
no.
could fix and fucking work on anything. He
Right.
wasn't a professional in anything. He was a fucking miner,
Yeah.
and a carpenter, but he wasn't a plumber, he wasn't an electrician or any of
Nope.
that. But he knew how to figure it out. You know what I mean? Roll up your sleeves and figure it the fuck out. Right
Yeah.
now, we have men that don't know even how to start trying to figure it out. They just look at you like fucking deer in the headlights,
Oh, yeah.
completely
Oh,
fucking lost.
oh, I got buddies. They're in their early 40s or so, and they're still roughnecks, dude. They're still working on oil rigs.
Dude, what's wrong with being a roughneck? I was a roughneck.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it at all. I guarantee. You know what? I will take a roughneck at my side in a bad situation because I guarantee you, if you can make that roughneck actually like lose it and get stressed and panic, that's an achievement.
Yeah. Shit usually goes south pretty quick, and it's like,
Right.
we're just gonna deal with this, okay?
Right. All right. Next step. What do we do?
Yeah.
Right. Haven't seen
Yeah,
this
no,
yet, but
I
we'll
worked
figure
the
it out.
oil rigs. I worked the oil rigs for like fucking 13 years off and on, dude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. My buddy Omar is still working on an offshore oil rig, and he's been doing that for 30, I think almost 30 years. And he's like mid 50s now.
wow, he's gonna
Yeah.
retire with a nice pension.
Never married, no kids. Never the company he works for buys out his vacation and sick time if he whatever he doesn't use. Dude hasn't taken a vacation in 25 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
that dude needs a day off. If he had a day off now, he might die.
He loves what he does.
Well, yeah. I mean, the offshore stuff I wasn't very interested in just because of the simple fact that I couldn't smoke out there, and
Yeah.
Shit out there when it goes south, it really goes fucking south,
Oh
and
yeah.
nobody's coming.
No. Exactly. When everything.
Nobody's coming.
Yeah. When shit goes south, when you're out there, you're SOL.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You just fucking send your Dear John letters before you leave
Yeah.
for the rig.
Yep.
I mean, we've lost a lot of guys and we've had a lot of guys injured
Yeah.
in my years on the rigs.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've had entire crews killed.
Yeah.
That was just part of the game, right? It was the dice we rolled when we
Right.
went out there.
Right. Well, he was telling me that there was one time in off the shore of Corpus Christi, Texas, they were drilling in a new area and they hit a gas pocket,
Yeah.
and something happened and a safety cable just sheared and wound up cutting a guy in half right above his hips.
I mean, depending on what their equipment was being, like what this cable was doing, yeah, it could have. If it jacked the fucking, like the actual drilling fucking equipment out of the well, and this cable was holding on to a piece that was around that equipment, I could see that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's about all he told me. He's like it looked like a butcher shop all over the floor.
Yeah.
He
Well,
said just literally cut him in half. But yeah.
we've had one guy who was going up in the derrick. He got sucked into the drum on the
Oh.
rig,
Oh
and
no.
he was wrapped up in that cable that was holding all the pipe on the end of the blocks like 6 times before they actually got it to stop.
Oh.
Because his lanyard that he was using to go up
Yeah.
actually swung out and caught
Oh
the drill
no.
cable, and that
Oh,
sucked him right down into the fucking drum.
not good.
Yeah, no, that was not a good moment. So we obviously we changed our policies there, and we were
Yeah.
like, okay, when the derrick man's going up into the derrick, the blocks aren't moving, right?
Yeah. Shut everything down.
Shut it all down. Yeah, let's let him get up there and fucking away we go.
Yep.
But I mean, fuck, dude, we're running equipment. I mean, I worked up in the stick for a lot of years, right?
Yeah.
We're running fucking. I'm holding on to pipe that weighs like fucking 290 pounds,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I'm throwing it into these blocks as they're fucking flying by at about fucking 10 kilometers an hour.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm making a latch happen with this
Right.
pipe and these
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
elevators.
And you're doing it with a smile on your face.
That's right. And I'm going to do it like fucking, 65 times. And if something
Right.
goes wrong, we'll pull everything back out and try again.
Right. And you'll get up and do the same damn thing tomorrow.
That's right. I mean, I've gotten my gloves caught on those elevators. You know what I mean?
Oh,
To where it
jeez.
fucking nearly picked me right up out of the derrick. Right? All kinds of shit goes wrong real quick.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
Then I got a lot of buddies that they're still doing that work, and I had a buddy that wound up breaking his back doing it, and another buddy, uh, he actually missed a step on um on the offshore rig he was on, and luckily he was wearing a harness. But the way that he fell, something happened. His line was twisted a little bit, so it actually wound up flinging him and banging him against one of the pillars,
Jesus.
and he what shattered his jaw, knocked out 8 teeth, um, tore both rotator cuffs, uh, broke his femur because he like slipped and fell and just went right into the pillar.
Like into the spinning fucking.
No, the um, on the offshore rig they got the like 4 or 6 big pillars that go down for stability in water.
Okay, yeah.
That's what he hit.
Ow.
And the sound of him hitting that got somebody's attention, or if that wouldn't have happened, he would have bled out.
Jesus Christ. See, I've only had one injury on the rig, and that was severe. And I just slipped on ice while tailing out fucking pipe.
Oh,
And I was giving it that last yank to get the end off the floor.
yeah.
And I slipped and I came down on that knee with the pipe still in my arms. So the pipe smashed my leg. That wasn't the worst part. The worst part came after the other end came off the floor, hit the fucking ground, and then sprung my end.
Oh,
So that's the one that actually slapped me to the point where it flattened the muscle down around the bone. It
yeah.
was like the worst Charlie horse you could have.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
right? So basically, I had a spot on my leg, my upper thigh, where it was just flat, and when you touch the center, that's bone.
Yeah,
So the muscle was pushed all down around it.
yeah. I mean, there's horror stories like that, and guys.
Fuck, I got off
Well,
easy, I thought.
yeah, you did. There are
Other, yeah,
many
there was
guys
a
of our generation that have done these jobs repeatedly, and a lot of the guys that I know that are doing it are up for retirement now, and nobody's there to take those jobs.
no. Well, I mean, I would trust the guys that I started with over any of the guys that are out there right now
Oh yeah,
because they might have been old school and what you considered fucking like hazardous,
right.
but they weren't dangerous. Right
Big
now, they're
difference.
fucking dangerous.
Yeah,
And that's the rigging life, guys.
yeah,
Moving on.
yeah. I got a buddy that was in the army. He was active duty, and he was having to do some jump training in the Western U.S. And something happened with his parachute, and uh, I don't know. I don't remember all the fine details of it, but something happened where he wound up breaking his neck, his back, and both of his legs,
Jesus.
and he's in a wheelchair
Did he
and
get
he's
did he get
barely
sucked into the turntable or something?
no. He wound up making it free, but they were doing a jump training somewhere out in the Western U.S. and something happened with his. He had an equipment failure, is all he'd pretty much say, and he wound up paralyzed from the basically from the neck down.
God damn.
Yeah.
That
Um,
sucks.
and what, like 3 months before, they were doing a helicopter extraction test, and he was supposed to be in the bottom end of the rope when they're pulling everybody out, but one of the other guys was late coming out, so my buddy wound up being the second to the bottom guy, and the guy that was below him when the pilot, something happened, the way the pilot took off, and the dude who was on the bottom of the line below my buddy got basically swung like a wrecking ball into a building side.
Ow.
Yeah,
Ew.
yeah. And my buddy's like, that would have been me.
That had to be fucking crushing.
Yeah,
Like bone fucking dust
yeah,
defying. You're basically the wrecking ball on a fucking crew.
right. Yeah, imagine being a human pinata
Oh,
into a building.
oh my god.
Yeah,
He had to die, right?
yeah, instantly.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
helmet he was wearing shattered. Um, everything on him was just destroyed. Uh,
God damn.
so yeah, I got plenty of friends that have been through horrible stories like that, and this next generation of men, they're it's not really their fault. They've been coached and coddled and protected their entire lives
Yeah.
that they've lost that instinct and that drive and that motivation to be a risk taker.
Well, we also have the extreme opposite on that when it comes to you, especially young men. We have other men that haven't been guided or educated, and all they've seen is nothing but abuse. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's not a discipline thing. It's just straight up fucking, full on abuse
yeah,
their whole fucking lives.
right.
And I
And
mean,
yeah,
that takes them
you're
down
right.
a whole nother fucking road. And I mean, that's where this Joker video that we're gonna go over and review,
Yeah,
that's
and
where this seems to go. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and there are. I watched that a couple of times. Was it yesterday you sent that to me? I
Yeah.
watched it a couple of times, and God, I could pick this thing apart. There's so many things. There's so many cautionary tales in this movie. Watch the movie. All the little things. You can go right, or you can go left, or you can keep going forward. And
Hmm.
just making that split second decision of making a choice to do something different
Yeah.
will change the entire outcome of his life.
Oh, and I mean, we have young men that are actually in our groups, right? Who have been through these kinds of experiences, and
Yeah,
now they're out here trying to face a real world,
right.
right? With no fucking experience. They've got a lifetime of abuse behind them.
Hmm.
They've got a lifetime of fucking trauma behind them.
Yeah,
Whether they were raised with both parents or had a dad in their life didn't seem to matter because generally the dad was just probably the same fucking way, right? He experienced the exact same fucking thing. Or, maybe a little more abusive or something like that, or neglective. I, I mean, we have to find this balance, right?
We
To
do.
make a person whole.
True.
And it used to take a tribe. We've lost our
Still
tribe,
does.
right? Yeah, but we've lost our tribe. That's why, like I state, MGTOW is so appealing to people because it gives them a new tribe,
Yeah, it
especially
does.
young men. It gives men a tribe.
Well, the biggest thing in any for men is to have a purpose.
Yeah,
Jordan Peterson says it many times. I'm a pretty big advocate of a lot of the things that he says. Give a man a purpose, and he will follow you to the end of the earth.
yeah,
Um, and there's a lot of truth behind that, and a lot of. I mean, if you look at Arthur in this, the whole Joker series, to understand. I mean, all he wanted to do was he wanted to be accepted. He just wanted to have a purpose and he wanted to have a group. He wanted to fit in,
hmm,
which is basal survival instinct in humans. That is what's allowed us to live as long as we have.
yeah,
Um, and the most dangerous thing for humans is to be left alone and and removed from a group. And we're seeing that in younger men.
yeah,
I mean, you have those women who preach about, you know, doing unspeakable acts to men so they're no longer around.
yeah.
Um, and that doesn't help. That's no good.
Well, not only that, but they're told they're garbage every fucking day,
Well,
and that when you're telling 6-year-old kids that they have to apologize for rape,
yeah, that's,
what?
yeah,
Like, where the fuck does that make sense? He didn't commit no fucking rape. But you're
yeah,
gonna get the entire fucking class of boys to stand up and say, I apologize for fucking rape. You're making them the fucking criminal right off the hop. You're
right.
installing that in them.
Yeah, you're basically prescribing them and directing them down that pathway. Now,
Yeah,
teach the days of young men, uh, of any. I mean, from the age of being able to walk or speak for themselves. How many kids nowadays go outside and play?
very few.
Um, how many kid go to any park in any city? How many kids do you see in that park?
5,
If that.
if that. Yeah,
Yeah.
on average 5.
Um, you know, they were talking about stuff a couple of weeks ago where they're talking about how people our military are unfit and how they can't even maintain physical fitness levels. Um, I hate to say it, but Gen X is probably going to have to be the saving grace if anything bad were to happen. And Gen X, we're getting old fast. But most of the people in Gen X are probably in better shape than most millennials. I mean, I know plenty of millennials that they're in their early 20s, early 30s now, and like older Gen Zs, like Gen Z millennial type, they got arthritis in their knees and their
Mhm.
elbows. They've never played a sport. They've never broken a bone. They've never spent the night out under the stars. I mean, they grew up and everything to them is what they saw on PlayStation
Yeah,
or Xbox.
yeah. Xbox babies. There you go,
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
No, no, you're absolutely right. But on top of that, I mean, I haven't lived much in a big city, right?
Okay.
So, and I'm talking like where it's just complexes all around, the concrete jungle. I haven't
Yeah.
lived in many of those, but I've been in them.
Yeah.
Um, they're not pleasant places to be
No.
when you're a fucking child.
No.
Like, okay, so there's some buildings that you can go into that have like play centers or something like that, maybe arcades or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, for an adult, I could see us living there, right, and working there
Yeah.
because this is where like production happens and things like that. If that's the case, okay.
Yeah.
But raising a family there, no, not
Yeah.
a fucking chance. And when you look at these worst cities on earth, I mean, you look at like Chicago, Detroit, New York, right? These are concrete jungles
Yep.
where literally you have complexes and city blocks that are almost like fucking the mega city blocks that have
Yeah.
fucking Judge Dredd. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? All
Oh,
you
yeah.
hear is crying babies, and all you fucking
Yep.
see is
Yep.
fucking people fucking slouching around. You
Right.
know what I mean? There's
Right.
nothing there.
No.
It's just the concrete fucking
Yeah.
jungle.
It's a holding pen for people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like an outside prison.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
yeah. It's not good.
this sort of environment seems to breed a certain group of people.
Yeah, it
You
does.
know what I mean? And it makes them self-centered, selfish, and generally unpleasant,
Yeah.
which then children have to experience because they don't discriminate by age.
No.
You know what I mean? They see children as just fucking cannon fodder.
Right.
Um, and that's not the way the world fucking was,
No.
not even fucking 30, 40 years ago. I
No.
mean, it was probably bad in some areas, but people have completely lost their fucking their moral fabric in these
Right.
places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like
know exactly what you mean.
Eric told us about the whole cockroaches in a baby's crib once, and it's like
Oh yeah.
that fucking image just stuck with me, dude.
Yeah.
That's fucking stuck.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
dude, I was working for a plumber when I was going to college, and I remember there was a problem with a water line, and there's a multifamily housing project, so to speak. And I remember cutting a hole in this wall in this kid's bedroom where the water lines went through the middle wall between all these different apartment units, and we
Mhm.
had to run a new line up inside there. I cut a little, like, I don't know, 12 by 12 hole, uh, just to be able to like get my hands in there to fish and move pipe up to the second floor. And as I was cutting out the galvanized pipe that was in there that was leaking, as I was cutting with a hacksaw to cut the pipe out so we can get it to drop down and pull it out through the basement,
Mhm.
it was raining cockroaches inside the wall.
Gross.
Yeah, no,
Gross.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um,
Oh,
like all the
nasty.
dude when when we finished working there, stopped at a local kind of like a big box hardware store, bought a new pair of boots, new socks, new shirt, everything. Threw out all the tools I took in there. I didn't want to bring that to my home.
Yeah, I can blame you.
Um, there's no way I wanted to bring that home. No, I didn't even want to risk that. And people living like that, that raises the question in my mind. Okay, you're living, let's say, lower income. You're living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. You're in a studio place. Um, you don't have much for yourself. You basically work and sleep.
Hmm.
At what point in time do you think it's a wise choice to bring another life into that environment?
There be the fucking $1 million question, right? And
Uh,
again, men aren't the ones that control reproduction. It's a
well,
fact. We
I
might as well face it.
I will argue that fact with you.
That we
Um,
control reproduction?
yes,
Well, I suppose it's our choice not to stick it in her.
yeah. If you don't stick, as Pop would say, your peg D in slot C,
Mm,
you do not create another person.
that is true. That is true. Okay, so why don't we just call it an even split then?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you. What's her name? She's a old. She she goes back farther than what's her name, than Karen or Jennifer Molesky. There's a younger woman way back in the day, probably back 2007, 2008, and she made the point of saying women pick and choose who has access to sex.
Yeah.
Men control who gets in a relationship.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you know, like you said before about the collapsing of social morals and you know things like that. I mean, guys are just out there looking to use a popism, slinging seed like an old bird feeder.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is though, these most of these men that are out doing that right now have had no fucking male guidance of anything, well, at least not a decent one, in their lives at all,
Yeah, and
right?
you know, I would, I was never that type to go out and do stuff like that. I never wanted to put myself in a situation to where everything I worked for and all of my future was going to be dedicated to somebody else.
Hmm.
Um, Call it selfish, call it crazy, but would you really want to bring in and saddle somebody else with a life when you're still struggling to put yours together? That's not the smartest choice.
It isn't. It is honestly right now. Like, I personally think having my youngest son. Well, not that I don't love my kids, right?
Oh yeah,
Um, but if I could turn the clock back, I never would have had any of them.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
and and that would be one of the greatest lessons I would want to instill in younger men. Um, the euphoric high you're going to feel for about a third of a second to half a second is not worth it.
no,
Um, there are far better things that can be more satisfying and gratifying long term that will pay greater dividends to you in the future. Learn skills, learn things that you can do. I mean, dude, your time on rigs, I mean, working on oil rigs and stuff like that, you have skills. You can, I guarantee you, I could probably throw a box of parts at you and you can put something together out of it
of course,
without thinking about it. I mean, someone could throw you a box of hardware and you can build damn near anything out of it. Um, and those are, marketable skills. Those are things that can pay dividends in your future. Like learning the, plumbing, building, electrical, all stuff I learned. Oh yeah, it sucked at the time to learn it. It was one of the best things I ever learned.
absolutely.
Because right now, look at the economy. Nobody wants to be a plumber. Nobody wants to build anything. And they're clamoring to find people to build. I mean, and if you know how to build, you can pretty much set your own price.
Well, I mean, as a taper,
Right.
it's a trait that a lot of people can do. A lot
Yeah.
of people can't do well,
Right.
right? And I've seen a lot of people that did not do a very fucking good job
Oh
at
yeah.
all. They still
Yeah.
got paid.
Exactly. You
But
know,
you
is
know,
it dirty
it,
work? Yeah. Does it suck sometimes? Yeah.
oh
Are you in
yeah,
uncomfortable positions? Yeah. But there will
yeah,
always be a need for those skills.
yeah. Except for around here, everything is shut down right here.
Yeah.
It's bad, but yeah, like when I was back in the bigger, busier areas, I mean, yeah, never had a problem. I pick and choose what jobs I wanted. If I didn't want to do a job, I'd go look at it and just fucking shoot them an astronomical price,
Yep.
right? Because I
Yep.
really didn't want them to take my offer. You'd
Right.
be surprised how many people had to fucking think twice before they shot me down.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's still plumbing jobs that I'll go out and I'll bid on, and I'll shoot them an astronomical number, and they're like, okay. I'm like, I just took
Wow.
what I would normally do this job for, put an extra zero behind it. I'm charging you 10 times what I normally do, and you said yes. They don't they don't care.
Nope. And I mean, like you're saying, I mean, we're in our fucking, 40s, right?
Right.
They can't find people.
No.
Can't find people. Okay, so in 10, 15 years, say we retire, right?
Yeah.
Or kick the
20.
bucket,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. We got 20 years left in us.
Yeah,
Best case.
best case scenario.
Right.
But there's nobody replacing us.
Oh no, there isn't.
You know what I mean? And a lot of that, it's just it's almost like it's fucking ingrained in them. And like I said, again, it comes back to the fucking not only single motherhood, but like the results of single motherhood,
Oh yeah,
basically raising children now themselves,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's poison all the fucking way down. As
yeah.
soon as you put in single motherhood, you poison the fucking well, and now everything's poison all the way down. Now,
I'll argue that fact with you because I know five different CEOs for and retired CEOs from major corporations
right?
that were children. They were, one of many children of a single mother. Um, Worked paper routes and gave their whatever money they made to their mom to buy groceries and pay rent. Um, and those guys wound up being CEOs for some pretty major defense contractors, other
Yeah,
major
but
businesses in North America. Those guys
Nate,
are the exception. They are the
yeah,
exception.
they're exceptions to the rule. They're not the rule themselves.
No, they're not.
And
But
we got way more failures than we do fucking success stories.
yeah, right. And the guys that I know that have come from that, they dedicate now that they're getting close to retiring or retired now. They're dedicating their time and their lives to putting money aside so you can find these young kids of saying, hey, if you're willing to come and volunteer and do XYZ with this charity,
Hmm.
I will pay for you to go to college.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and these guys are
Hey,
saying, you know
giving back, man. That's
exactly, and
that's
they're paying it forward.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I think we do in this community. I mean,
And then we
as
have
I've stated, we have young men that don't know how to act in the real world anymore. They don't know how to socialize, right?
right.
They are completely fucking outcasted because they are in most senses like just socially awkward is how I see it, right?
Yeah. Well,
I don't
a
see that
great
as a game changer.
yeah, a great example of that is the movie Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood. Tao, the young Hmong kid, wouldn't make eye contact, his body language, and you watch the transition of that kid.
Hmm.
There are multiple kids that work their ways out of the ghetto neighborhoods, the single mother households, to be, you know, average middle class guys that work whatever job it may be. And all they
Hmm.
need is a mentor. They
Yeah.
need somebody who's not going to say, double X is bad. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Be a, quote unquote, high value man. Okay. How do you become a high value man? What is it that is needed to do that? Teach a kid how to tie a tie, how to hold eye contact in a conversation. Teach that
Hmm.
kid, boundaries, limits, tasks, rewards. Give that kid a purpose. Teach that kid that there is a reward at the end of having a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, show him that delayed gratification, getting paid at the end of the week, pays better than getting paid at the end of the day. Show these people this stuff. You may put a ton of work in up front, but it will always pay better in the end.
But that's just it. I mean, putting in a dedication and hard work to something. I mean, it's look at when I came back from the US. I came back $5,000 in debt, right,
Yeah.
to my family.
Right.
I started working for a construction company just literally to fucking keep a roof over my head,
Right.
right? I decided that, hey, there was a fucking demand because I was talking to a couple of the guys that were actually on my construction site who were tapers.
Yeah.
I was like, well, there seems to be quite a demand for you guys. And he's like, yeah, we're busy as shit, right?
Right.
In this area. I was like, well, why don't I fucking try to just do my own thing and just take on these taping contracts, right?
Yeah.
I literally borrowed,
Hmm.
okay, two small troughs
Yeah.
and four fucking taping knives
Right.
from a guy. I didn't
Yep.
even own my own equipment the first
Right.
day I went in on the job,
Right.
right? And I did so well on these fucking jobs because I was literally working there from fucking sun up till past fucking sundown to
Right.
where it was like I was going home at 1 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
right? Working by cell phone light.
Yep.
But I was dedicated.
Yeah.
Before I was done that job, I had like $38,000 worth of equipment in a brand new fucking car sitting out in the fucking driveway, and that's
Exactly.
what I drove off that lot with.
Yep.
I went in with those hand tools, which I never returned, by the way. I lost them, I think.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I know. I owed him like fucking $26 worth of hand tools. But yeah, like
Right.
I walked out with every piece of fucking equipment a fucking average taper could ever want. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But that was my dedication.
Right.
Like I said, I didn't really have a life. I mean, I was still somehow dating a chick and she was working with me,
Yeah.
right? That was our fucking social fucking circle there is we fucking worked together. And
Right.
yeah, that's the way it went.
Oh, dude, we had a couple, maybe a month or so back, we had some, torrential downpour here in the Midwest, and sump pumps, like people were having sump pump failures left and right. Um, Changing a sump pump is easy. It's very easy. I can remove and replace a sump pump in under an hour. I had people calling and offering me $500 in cash. They had the sump pump, all they just didn't know how to put it in. All I had to do was go over, put it in, and leave. I was in and
Yeah.
out of there in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Is it
Dude.
hard work? Yeah, it sucks. It's cold? Yeah, sometimes it is. Is it glamorous? No. But
No.
is the money good? Yes.
Well, my neighbor here, the guy who I was keeping my horses at,
Yeah.
right? His well stopped working
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Right? Yeah. That's
He didn't
a big
have the
deal.
Yeah, this guy's fucking like 58. He didn't have the motivation to go out and see why it wasn't even working. You know why it was working or wasn't working?
Blown fuse.
No, one of the wires fucking rubbed against the side and fucking shorted it out.
Yeah.
So the wires need to be re-fucking done. He
Right.
didn't even pull it up out of the hole. And
Jesus.
he sat there for 5 years with no goddamn running water.
Right.
Like that's like I said, this poison, right?
Yeah.
This lack of motivation or
Right.
lack of even being willing to fucking try to figure out something. This poison is not new,
No. No.
right?
We're probably 2 generations into it now.
Without a doubt. And
Yeah.
I don't even know how to fucking explain it, but I don't know where that comes from. You know what I mean? Like I said, I guess because I've come from a different lifestyle background that, if you needed something and you couldn't afford to buy it, you better learn how to fucking make it.
Yeah. I mean, my grandfather, one grandfather was a welder, the other one worked in a metal forge.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Um, my one grandfather was very musically gifted. Um, he could pick up any musical instrument and play it. Like Stone Cold, never touched it, never seen it. He can pick up and just like play it. When he was born in 1913, when he was a kid, he was an only child. He used to go to uh, barbershops, bars, restaurants, and he used to play whatever musical instrument they had on hand for money to help pay for groceries when he was a kid. Um, he played in big bands through the 20s and 30s as a young man. He made more money playing in big bands during the heydays of Sinatra and everybody else, like what you see in the movies of the old, the 19 when they show like pre-World War II, World War II, the big band stuff. He played in that stuff. He made more money playing in bands doing that as a side gig than he did working in a forge full time.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
he still worked full time, had 2 kids, and went and played music until he was in his 60s.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I think that's a part of what's been bred out of us essentially.
that's not been brought out of us. It's just been socially
Well,
crushed and stigmatized that earning merit is bad.
well, do you think you can take somebody let's take one of these turbo liberal fucking, lazy as a cut dog kind of guys. Do you believe that you can take him and reform him?
Give me enough time and I can.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think that that's what we're trying to do is reprogram or deprogram this fucking nonsense out of them.
Yeah,
But you gotta have a drive and a willingness to do that. I mean,
right.
I just don't think everybody has it.
I mean,
Now, a lot of them do.
yeah, I've tried to work with a couple of younger guys, try to bring them in as like an apprentice and, guys that'll work on or, work with me. I'm like, hey, dude, you know what? You want breakfast? I'll buy you breakfast. I'll buy you lunch. I'll buy you dinner. Work with
Mhm.
me every day. I'll show you how to do what I do. I'll give you tasks. We'll grow what you can do. And a lot of them, they can make it through a week, maybe two,
Yeah.
but then the social pressure gets to them.
Mhm. Well, I've had guys that, like I've done the same thing. Take them under the wing, right?
Yeah.
Start them off. I was always willing to train people,
Oh, yeah.
always, just to have somebody start with like the the tasks that I don't need to be there for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I've had one guy, like I said, this guy was a fucking gem.
Yeah.
Um, he did not finish out the whole day. He quit and literally stopped
Yeah.
10 minutes before we were done and stood there.
Yeah.
I was like,
Dude. Yeah.
all you have to do is go down to the car, get me the right bag of stuff, and I'll
Right.
mix it up and get this on, and we're done for the day. No,
Right.
no, I'm done. I was like, dude, well, you're not standing around here. Go sit in the fucking car.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And usually like the first couple of weeks are great until they actually see the money they can earn. Then they go and they
Mm.
screw around with friends, and that's when all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, I didn't even get that out of most people.
Yeah, I've got a few.
I could understand it if you fucked off after payday and got, twisted up or something.
Well, that was the thing. It's like, if you're going to be doing this kind of stuff, if we're going to be working, we're standing up walls, we're building something. I need you here at 6 o'clock Monday morning. You're here at 6 o'clock Monday morning. You know, and working with some younger guys, I'm like, look, if I'm buying you breakfast, I'm buying you lunch, I'm buying you dinner,
Mhm.
and I need a full day out of you. Not only are you getting paid in full, but you're also having everything provided for you. All you need to do is be here and be ready to work.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not setting the bar too high.
No,
And,
no,
and
but
that's where we're sorely lacking is on that.
well, I mean, and with this video that we're about to play here, this looks at a different side of things. It's
Yeah.
not that he doesn't have work ethics. It's not that he,
Oh,
doesn't try hard. It's not that he isn't polite or anything. It's just society has been poisoned itself,
yeah.
right? To allow good people to be fucking
Oh,
discarded. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
yeah. And I know exactly what you mean. And looking at the story of the Joker, I mean, he's a brilliant individual. You notice where they show we'll probably get to it when he talks to like the social worker and the counselor and all. If you've ever seen the movie,
I
he knows.
actually, honestly, I think this movie would upset me so much. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Dude
I,
figured out how to manipulate other people. He's smart enough to outsmart the quote unquote experts.
yeah.
If you were to take a guy like this and to hone him and direct him, dude would be unstoppable.
Well, I mean, he essentially becomes his new persona and becomes unstoppable anyway. But
Yeah.
that's a very rare and in this case, obviously not acceptable way of going about things. But
Yeah.
we have a lot of young men, a lot of them, tons of fucking potential, man. They
Oh,
have literally life captured in the fucking bag,
oh yeah.
and it is being completely fucking destroyed and wasted.
Yeah.
We've got a young guy we've been talking to for a while. Um, I don't think you were in on any of the conversations, Nate, but I wanted to talk to you about him a little bit
Yeah.
on afterwards. But
Yeah.
this young gentleman's got fucking literally. He has his youth and his health. You know what I mean?
Oh, he's Superman.
And Yeah, but 100% incredibly socially awkward. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
People tend to lash out at him because he frustrates them with his improper behaviors. Essentially, not
yeah,
anything he says. It's just like it's a strange thing, right? Just hang on a
yeah.
sec.
All right. Yeah. Well, sorry for the waffling, guys. I know I always give Rhino and Jimmy Bones hell for waffling, but yeah, this is a challenging subject.
Well, I want to play this while I go tuck in little monster here.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So you are a little monster. Don't.
Enjoy those moments, man. Those are
I do.
everything.
Absolutely. All right. I'll be right back, but I'll play this for a little bit and then I'll be right back.
All right.
Will collapse. And today, this warning is more important than ever because the movie accurately predicts how revolution will come about in the West. And judging by recent events, we may be much closer than we thought. To see what I mean, Joker gives us 4 clear stages of how modern society collapses and what will be behind a major revolution in the West. The first stage comes when a society is no longer connected, when communities are destroyed and loneliness is the norm. And we see this in the first section of the movie. The opening shot of Joker starts with a mirrored reflection of our protagonist, Arthur. From the looking glass, we see a sympathetic man displaying a sense of sadness and vulnerability. A man who has to put on a public mask to blend in as best he can to the society that he lives in. And the movie shows us why Arthur needs to do this by giving us a window into his sad life. You see, Arthur has a job at a company named Ha Ha's, where he works as a cheap clown. But he isn't the circus brand of entertainer. Instead, Arthur spends his time flipping signs on the street and doing other odd jobs. But one day on the job, while Arthur's doing his sign routine, a band of teenagers snatch it from him and run away. Arthur immediately starts chasing after them, but gets ambushed and hit in the face with his own sign. The group of thugs then pour salt on the wound by kicking Arthur while he's lying down on the concrete. It's in this scene that we see the first cracks in Gotham society, and the consequences.
Sorry, guys. I can't skip through the ad. Gotta love it when they do that to us, though. Go to the chat. I'll look at the chat. One, if you see what's going on in that, how. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Brave browser. You see how people being disconnected and disassociated from each other. See how that can have a lasting effect and impact on people. Like Chris and I were talking about before, people's need to belong. Yeah. Gotta admit, they timed these ads perfectly, though.
Now, let's play.
Ready? Yeah, these ads do get longer by the day. And then the ability to skip them is actually diminishing as well. But Jackal's right, do go to the Brave browser. It is so much nicer.
Of the lack of social cohesion. You see, no one bothers to try and help Arthur, even though it's clear that he's been treated terribly by the people around him. It's a mirror of life in Western megacities, and this is having a significant impact on Arthur's psychology. To understand this properly, we need to consider a concept called the looking glass self, a sociological term that describes.
Sorry, did you have to watch through the ads there?
Yeah, there were 2 ads.
Of course. Bastards.
Yeah. Well, they time it perfectly.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I walk away.
Right, exactly.
Of course. So, yeah. This is the video that's been making the rounds on the internet. It's actually grown in quite some popularity. But
yeah, I've seen that.
It's I think it's pretty fucking accurate.
It
really
is. And like we were emailing back and forth. This is like a 100,000 foot overview. There's so many deep layers on details on this. I'll email you a PDF file from research that was done in 94, 97, I think, where it talks about the mirror neurons and the need to belong and how important that is in human society and social in designing and supporting societies and the evolution of humans. Uh, that's really interesting to read.
Well, I've often wondered, like, is this a part of our genetics? Is this a part of our ape DNA,
Yeah, it is
essentially?
actually.
That
Um,
would take a socially awkward person and cast them out as much as possible,
well,
or to even make them the whipping boy?
it's in it's in our evolutionary biology and in our DNA, where there's what we call in-group preference. That's why you'll notice when you put people together of all different backgrounds, you'll notice the white males go to the white males, the white females go to the white females. You'll notice different groups create little cliques, little subgroups among themselves.
Hmm.
It's a it's an in-group preference, and people are going to do that because they feel more comfortable. They see other people that look like them, so they figure, oh, you look like me, you must be. I think I'm safe, so you must be safe too.
Right, but I mean, we're talking about like actual mental traits, not
Ye-
physical characteristics.
Right, but those physical characteristics relay back to what's the mirror neurons inside of the brain, which has allowed the human species to survive, and that's the foundation also for the horde or the herd mentality in people. They
Mm,
that's where you notice children will start mimicking behaviors because of those mirror neurons in the brain.
right.
That's where that all comes from.
So
It's all
so again,
interlinked.
we go back to the person's childhood,
Yes.
essentially being where the
Well,
root cause of most of their fucking social awkwardness comes from. Most of their
uh,
social
more
warp cues kind of come from.
Yeah, more than likely. Usually, when you have people that develop like social awkwardness, um, usually that's due to being coming from like a psychologically abusive childhood and an upbringing,
Hmm.
because they're shouted down, talked down to, uh, pulled away from other things. Let's say you have a parent who, instead of lets their child go out and play, they want their child to be there to dote on them,
Hmm.
and they treat their child more as a servant than as a person and another a child.
Well,
Um,
not only that, but with the separations of children from fathers, right?
oh yeah, that as well.
There's no male role model there.
Right,
Generally, the mother doesn't give them the attention that they require once
right.
they're, out in the environment. They just want to be free of them because, they're single fucking mothers, right?
Yeah,
And these children with no guidance and no uh sorry, it'll come to me.
eh,
Mentor, right?
yeah,
They go to other children. And generally, these other children don't have any mentors that didn't come off a TV or a fucking rap video,
right,
right?
right.
And they become the new mentors for children like mine,
Yeah,
right?
and un- that is unfortunate. However, the mirror neurons don't discriminate. If they see behavior either as positive or negative, the mirror neurons basically are going to look at a group dynamic. It's a social dynamic of things. So
Mhm.
if you see person throws football, person becomes accepted by other people, then that kid's going to pick up and try to throw a football. If a kid watches somebody flashing jewelry on a screen and staring at a tablet all day, and they get attention from other people, then that kid is going to go around and go to that tablet and flash whatever they can in front of it to get the attention.
Right.
Now, that is good, bad, or indifferent. It can be used and manipulated many different ways. Now, the the double-edged sword on that is, I don't want to get too deep into the neurology and things like that, but women's brains, women understand physically they are more vulnerable than men. Women's primary drive is to get social acceptance because there's safety in numbers.
Right.
So if they don't have a horde of people, a herd of people, a group, a gaggle of girls around them, that's why you notice they always travel in groups, because they
Yep.
want to maintain group acceptance. So they will actually stunt the emotional and psychological growth of children to keep those children there just to validate themselves with attention. And once you start taking that attention away from women, which we are now starting to see in society, they're doing more and more outlandish and outrageous and crazy things just to get attention.
Yeah, they're going to extremes, and essentially, this is where I guess the term peacocking
Yes.
when it comes into play.
Yep.
The hens are essentially peacocking now.
Yes. Just
You know,
because, and they'll never be able, well, very few I've ever seen are even willing or able to admit the deep lying inner insecurity and vulnerability of being alone.
mhm.
They'll say that they feel unsafe going out in the dark. They don't know why, but they feel unsafe going out in the dark. That's because physically they are technically more vulnerable than a man. Yeah, do men get attacked? Yeah, it happens. But you take a 5'9" male and a 5'9" female. I mean, look at the genetics, look at the anatomy and physiology, biomechanics. The man is going to have a physical advantage over that same woman of the same size. That's just the way our bodies are designed.
Mhm.
Uh,
And I suppose it makes sense when these politicians cave and, make up weird fucking policies that
oh
not
yeah,
only not only favor women, but like completely oppress men.
yeah,
And
because
it's
they're basically trying to they're putting up a facade, and they're basically attempting to put up an artificial straw man in the way of the woman to
Mhm.
to protect her from something that she sees or deems as a potential boogeyman threat out there.
Yeah, not
And
because there's an actual threat, just
right,
because it
right,
makes her feel safer.
right, exactly. And they're
Yeah,
basically psychologically and emotionally manipulating her to think this way.
yeah.
So yeah,
And of
and
course, by pandering to them, I mean, they
right.
get the vote, right?
Well, they're always looking for validation and acceptance. So if you say, I know this is a threat to you, I know this is dangerous for you, and I'm going to go and take care of that problem. Oh,
Mhm.
you're going to make me safer? Yeah, okay. Then that's what they're looking for,
Mm.
and they're just
I mean,
being manipulated.
I think Pierce Brosnan had a chick on once that was saying that she was happy that men were afraid, young men were afraid to approach women or
Hmm.
to ask them out or to interact with them
Yeah, I've seen
because of
many
the
interviews with women like that.
yeah, because of the fact that, oh, well, they could end up, with a false allegation put
Right,
against them and their lives are ruined. And
right.
this lady was fucking just ecstatic about that idea.
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved it, dude.
Well,
Loved it.
yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to Red Pill Rhino. I mean, one of his favorite phrases, I talk to him regularly, is 40 to 80 is a long time. You notice all these women that love the fact that they have that power trip.
Hmm.
I'm 23 years old. I'm 24 years old. If I say you did this, everyone's going to believe me and not you. Okay. Rule number one, never put yourself in situations where you don't have a witness. Never.
That's a tough one when it comes to actual sex, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's. Have you seen the movie or the TV series Upload?
No.
No,
No.
it's a good watch. Tinder, right, has
Yeah.
basically become a full-on just we're here to fuck kind of app, right?
Yeah.
So they meet people, they swipe left on each other type of deal, and or right, whatever,
Right.
and they're just getting together to have sex. Well, they put these cameras on their chests, right?
Okay.
And they look into each other's camera and say, I give consent to this.
Oh,
That's basically where we are today.
yeah.
We need those fucking cameras.
Right.
But here's the thing, we have seen time and time again where guys have gone into courtrooms with tons of proof
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
look,
Oh, yeah. And,
look, this
yep.
wasn't rape. And they were like, no, she
Mhm.
changed her mind.
Yeah. And that's why I said earlier in our conversation, never get yourself in those situations. Women control access to sex. Men control access to relationships. If you want a thrill, if you want to rush, I'll tell you right now, don't chase women because that's just going to put you at risk. If you want a thrill, you want to rush, go to like a used sporting goods store, go to a a place where you can find inexpensive sporting goods stuff.
Mhm.
Go pick up a longbow. Go pick up a bow. Pick up some arrows. Learn to shoot. Pick up a target. You can start that pretty cheap. It's very inexpensive to get started at it. Start with that. Then get into bow hunting. That will give you more of a rush being out in the woods within 5 yards of another animal and it not knowing you're there.
I was going to suggest a whorehouse, but that was a bit off
Yeah.
the answer you had.
The other,
Personally, I think if we made brothels legal everywhere and put one in every town, young men wouldn't have half the problems that they do right now.
well, no, see, we're from two different schools of things. See, I would rather direct young men to learn how to go fishing, learn how to fillet your own fish, learn fly fishing. You want to I'll tell you right now, you catch a 17 or 18-inch largemouth bass on a fly rod, dude, your heart's going to be racing for the next 2 hours after. That's going to be a huge rush for you.
Dude, I come from an island.
Yeah.
So,
But you know what I'm talking about being outdoors and going fishing,
absolutely.
going hunting.
But we still all have sexual needs, right? We all have sexual urges. Now, when I was in my 20s, I was nowhere near in control of my urges as I am now.
Yeah, see,
Right?
I was a little different in my 20s.
That's why I was like, I'm glad not to go back.
Yeah, see, dude, I worked for a private security company and a defense contractor. So trust me, I had more than my fair share of opportunities with rather attractive women. And that's where I learned a lot of self-control. I was wise before my days because a lot of dudes I worked with, they were just, they were slinging seed worse than what pop stories are. Like they were doing shit in parking lots, parking garages, you name it, wherever, however. Yeah, they were doing that. And now all of them have, most of the guys I used to work with, if they're not dead already, most of them have multiple kids with multiple mothers and paying out the nose in child support. Everything that they earned working for as a defense contractor is gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can see where that takes them down a sad road. Generally, though.
Yeah.
And hear me out. If we had brothels everywhere, these are paid professional women, right?
Okay.
Just like in places like I think Denmark and
Like Amsterdam and
Amsterdam and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
If we had that everywhere in our countries, right? You wouldn't have to worry as much about pregnancies. You wouldn't have an incel community even. These are the young men that have gone to the extreme points, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have that because they don't care what you look like or how awkward you are. You got the dollars, you're getting your rocks off.
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to be done as safely because these are paid professionals. Here's the thing. Most people look at a prostitute, right? And think, oh, she's dirty. Have you ever been with a bar whore? They fuck more guys than Kellogg's have cornflakes, and they don't know what rubbers are.
Oh, yeah.
At least that prostitute insists that you wear protection. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because her job depends on it.
20 years ago, I knew a few girls that were escorts. Never did anything with them, but I knew them. I knew who they were and what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still in contact with some of them. And let me tell you, 20 years has been rough to them. They made great money in their 20s. They were high-end professional call girls. They were, for lack of a better phrase, they were prostitutes.
Yeah, that's what escorts are. They're prostitutes.
Yeah, these girls were making about $4,000 to $5,000 a night.
That's a busy girl.
They were running around with all the white collar guys.
Nice.
Yeah. So there are those, and then there are the other ones. But I see your point about removing the stigma from that.
Yeah. I'm not saying don't learn to fly fish and shit. I'm saying that when it comes down to it and your fucking little head is overthinking your big head, having a fucking exit for fucking all that tension,
Yeah,
right, is
yeah.
not a bad thing.
No, it's not. But I would rather promote uh, learning other skills and being able to channel into control and suppress those urges at times, because later in life things may not work out the way you want and you may need to suppress those urges.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely, definitely.
And
Learning to get control of things doesn't mean you get it from the first time. Rome wasn't built in a day.
exactly.
And a
And
19-year-old boy full of fucking testosterone is gonna want to fucking get his rocks off eventually, no matter how many fucking
oh,
places you take him. You know what
don't
I
get me
mean?
wrong, that was me when I was that age too. But
Yeah.
um I learned from some very, very wise individuals that kind of directed me towards other things, and that kind of helped a lot. I mean, yeah, I had more than my fair share of opportunities to do stupid shit like that,
Hmm.
but I didn't. And there are much better ways. And I come from the school of there are better ways to actually learn acceptance and to maintain self control, as opposed to just scratching the itch whenever you get it.
I'm
You know,
not saying scratch the itch whenever you get it. It'd get too expensive, obviously, but you
yeah,
know,
exactly.
when it opens up everywhere and it's legal, prices go down. That's the
True.
beauty.
Yeah, but yeah,
Well, I mean, we
safely
had
lower.
these
Sure.
we had these brothels back in what, like the 40s was
Well,
probably
technically,
when
there's still are some of them around. You just have to know where to look for them.
very few. But I mean, it was like everywhere. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It
Oh
was
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Where was your fucking, fiance? Oh, he was at the brothel last night.
Right. Yeah.
That's all that was thought about it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I can see there being a benefit to it,
Well,
but
I think that was one of the most productive times, and people were fucking polite. They still had morals, right?
yeah.
People were kind, they were polite, they, built our civilization. They literally laid the foundation for the fucking, the industrial fucking evolution.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having those urges and satisfying those urges. However, y- moderation is a very key thing.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yes.
I would be more of an advocate of moderation and learning self control and delaying the gratification, as opposed to just going out and scratching the itch whenever you get it.
Okay. Yeah, no,
Uh,
that totally makes sense too. Um,
because I mean, if you do, if you're working on a rig in the middle of the day, you get that urge, you can't just stop what you're doing and just go scratch that itch.
of course not.
I mean, and that's
There's a time and place for everything.
right, exactly,
But that's where your mentor would come in and say, "Hey, look, man, there's a time and place for everything."
exactly. But yeah, I mean,
Again, goes back to not having a fucking mentor that's worth a damn.
right, and that's I think the calling of I think what should be the calling of this community is those guys that are 30 to 35 plus should be more mentoring those guys under 30 to 30 to 35.
Hmm.
Hey, there's a time and a place for this stuff.
Yeah.
And time and the place isn't when you're in college. You're supposed to be there to learn. You're there to set yourself up to put yourself in a better situation.
Yeah. Well, again, on the whole college thing, like, do you feel that's still even worth it anymore?
Um, Depending on the direction you want. I mean, for some people, yes. For some people, no. There are some people that are great with working with their hands. They're great. They're just some people that have a knack for building and for making things.
Hmm.
You know what? Learn if you have an interest in like diesel engines or whatever it may be. Go be a mechanic, dude. You'll make great money. Is it tough? Yeah. Is it dirty? Yeah. Is it a glorious lifestyle? No, it's not. You're always dirty. You're always greasy. I'll tell you right now, You're going to get arthritis in your hands and your shoulders and your elbows and everything else. Yeah, it's going to suck. There's a downside to it. But you're always going to have work. You're always going to be able to move up and move around and pretty much get a job wherever you want.
Yeah.
You can go and live where you want, do what you want. And you can also work on cars on the side and make side cash for people. Same with plumbing, same with taping, same with doing drywall. You can always take those skills and use them as a backup. You can go, let's say you're a 20-year-old kid, you don't know what, 18 to 20-year-old kid, you don't know what to do. Go be an apprentice for somebody. Go learn a trade under somebody. Do it for, 5 years, 10 years. Get it to where you can sufficiently and successfully do things on your own, just about anything. Learn it, get it to that point, move on to the next field, the next thing you want to do. But always maintain being able to do those, change oil for somebody, rotate tires, whatever it may be, go spend a weekend mudding and taping a neighbor's house, and he's going to pay you in cash for doing the job. Pay your taxes out of it, but always have something to fall back on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, having skills is key in life. And like I said before, you used to get most of the basics from your father, and he got it from his father, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
We've broken that chain,
But if
unfortunately.
the father isn't there,
Yeah. I mean, I've met I think he was 38 years old when I first moved to Wisconsin. He did not know how to change a flat tire.
right?
I was like, dude, you're 38. You don't know how to change a flat tire.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah. A neighbor, his kid is working on his PhD in chemical engineering, and my neighbor wanted to have his oldest son help his brother assemble a jungle gym, for his cousins, younger kids. And he was there in the backyard for 3 days straight and was confused by the directions.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Was this like an extremely complicated fucking jungle gym or something?
No. Everything was pre-cut, pre-measured, pre-drilled, pre-marked. Put bolt A in hole E on board F. It was you. I guarantee you would probably have looked at the picture, looked at the pile of parts that came with it, and you probably would have had it together in an hour or two.
Oh, that poor kid, man.
He sat there for 3 days, confused, puzzled, frustrated. Went out and got a square and looking at angles and trying to I'm just like, I was watching this kid. I'd check him, see him every day doing this. I'd go to work, come back. Kid's still sitting out there in the yard, confused and frustrated. And I go over and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, you've been on this 3 days. And then he's like, I don't know what to do. How does I'm like, okay. Does this part look like this? Yes. Okay, this goes here, right? Well, according to the diagram, yeah. Okay, this goes here, right? Yeah. Okay, where does this go? And it took me 2.5 hours to talk him through building the entire thing himself. Well, I just basically problem solved it through for him. And he's like, oh, I guess this wasn't that difficult to do. I'm like, no, you have a diagram. You have all the parts cut. You have everything done for you.
And so it was idiot proof, and he couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this kid's working on I think his master's or PhD in chemical engineering.
Well, I mean,
And
don't get me wrong. I'm all for people being book smart, but Jesus Christ, it doesn't hurt to be fucking world smart either.
Exactly. Yeah, the kid just couldn't grasp what you and I grew up with as basic tasks.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I get people that call me, hey, I bought a new TV. I know this isn't what you usually do, but can you put a TV on a wall for me? And it's like, you're kidding, right? No, I've never done it before. You got to be kidding me.
Probably didn't even know how to find a stud, right?
I asked him where the studs were. Oh, what's a stud?
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, when you're dealing with people that lack even the basic knowledge, and it's like they were amazed. I pulled out little small neodymium magnets, put a couple in the palm of my hand, waved my hand over the wall, and he was puzzled with what I was doing. Those small magnets are going to stick to the screws. What's that going to tell you? Where the screws are, number one, and where the studs are, number two.
Oh, that's if your drywaller found his studs.
But if you have a line of them,
yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, you get a line of 3 on, you put 12 of them on a wall, you got 4 rows of 3, boom, you know where your studs are. And he's like, there's something magnetic in my wall? Like,
what?
Oh,
oh my god.
I've worked with some of the best and brightest individuals out there. I don't know why these things were never taught.
Well, I guess they get hyper focused on things that they're told they're going to need for that future, especially if they have parents that are really really working their children hard when it comes to their education.
Yeah.
They get them hyper focused. Like, okay, let's say you these parents exist. They want their kids to be either a doctor or a scientist or an engineer of some kind or whatever the fuck. President, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And they super drive them down that fucking road, whether they want to go or not.
Oh yeah.
Right. And that's what their life becomes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Those people are absolutely helpless when they get older.
Yeah, but I mean, those parents are absolute fucking monsters.
Right. You got to set your kid up for success in the future. You have to. And you have to understand, if you're gonna bring a life into this world, you're responsible for it. Guys, be aware that you can't be held for child support if you don't father a child.
That's true.
I mean, it all starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
Have we all made mistakes? Yes. We're all human.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the Joker, dude is literally, we just watched him get beat up by a bunch of kids. We can probably say all those kids probably don't have a father at home. They don't have any parents that know what they're doing. Yeah. We can put the blame everywhere. But if there's so many different things that can be done. If he would have, he got his butt kicked by a bunch of kids. He was outnumbered. Bad situation. Stupid thing. It happens to all of us. We all get kicked while we're down. And if you don't think so, trust me, happens to all of us. But yeah. Sorry, I wanted to bring it right back to what we were talking about because there's so much information on this. I mean, we could probably go a year, the rest of this year, just going over this stuff.
Well, let's try to get through this one, and I'll grab a drink of water because I don't know, but it's looking more like I have diabetes.
Oh,
yeah, I know. Shocker to me too, because I don't get things. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you got to take care of that.
Yeah. Well, apparently it explains a lot of the weight loss, the dehydration, the blurry vision, the numbness in my feet, and the lack of energy.
Yeah. Well, the blood vessels in your eyes are the smallest, and those will be the first ones you'll actually have problems with. It'll affect your vision and the small muscles in your eyes.
But still, I mean, I don't get things. I'm generally immune to everything.
Yeah.
At least that's what I thought. But apparently it's looking like that this could very likely be a cause. So soon I have to go in and book an appointment and get some blood tests done, I guess.
Yeah.
But I didn't think you lost weight with diabetes. That's why I never even put that on the list.
You can. And then when you go on insulin, you'll actually start gaining weight. A quick and easy way you can actually test for that is go to a drugstore or grocery store, and you'll see where or even you can go online. You can find those glucose meters, a glucometer.
Yeah.
And what you want to do is you want to just prick your finger, test your glucose, and if you're between 80 and 120, that's normal. Your body's producing adequate amounts of operational insulin for you to function. But if you're above that or below that, like if you notice you're starting to shake and stuff like that, and you test it and you're below 80, that's hypoglycemia. Or if you start noticing you're like 2, 3, 4, 500 for your glucose levels, that's a problem.
I was told to piss on a ketone strip as well.
Yeah, that'll
tell me something.
It'll tell you how much sugar you're actually processing in or out. The other thing you may notice is if you have family or friends and you'll notice like they're around you and they say they smell citrus like oranges, because your body will actually expel sugars through your breath to try and lower your blood sugar. You'll notice, either you will notice it or somebody around you will notice the smell of like an orange rind or citrus fruit.
I've heard there's also like a sickly sweet smell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an orange citrus, orange or a citrus scent because of the sugar.
Well, to me, I smell amazing, so I don't know.
Yeah, you won't pick it up, but other people around you will.
Okay. Well, either way, yeah, that could be my birthday gift this year. I got diabetes. Like Scott Malkathan, I got diabetes.
Right. Right. You want to?
Yeah,
we'll play this on, and then you can grab some water and.
You betcha.
Hopefully, we don't get a commercial.
How a person's perception of themselves come from how they think other people view them. This develops in a 3-step process that begins incredibly early in life. As children, we slowly tap into and notice how other people react to our behavior. Those reactions are then attributed to judgments about how we act. And lastly, an individual then forms a self-image in line with how they think others are judging them. Charles Cooley, the sociologist who first coined the term, thought that this process of socialization was what made people human. But in Joker, the whole idea of the looking glass self has been thrown on its head. Arthur's self-image is so terrible because he's been convinced by other people's actions that he himself is terrible. And this creates a positive feedback loop, where every time someone treats Arthur poorly, he mistakenly believes that he deserves it. And a negative self-image like this will only lead to a compounding hatred of oneself. And Joker is just so popular because there are millions of men like Arthur in our world today. Because our entire culture is creating a breeding ground for loneliness, despair, mental illness, where we're bathed in atomizing celebrity at all cost nihilism. A society that's rebuked lonely, despairing young men into thinking they're worthless, angry freaks who deserve nothing but contempt. The hordes of castigated men is symptomatic of a very deep problem in our society. This is shown in the next scene, where Arthur talks to his therapist and asks,
"Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?"
But unfortunately, talking to a therapist doesn't seem to be helping his mental health a whole lot. So instead, he tries to get something out of the session by asking for a higher dose of his 7 medications, but all to no avail. He tells his therapist that all he really wants is just to not feel so bad anymore, but finds no refuge in her cold demeanor. Arthur treads a long flight of stairs up towards his apartment where he lives with his mother. She is almost physically immobile, whilst also being mentally unwell, with Arthur being left to take care of her all by himself. Once the two have dinner together, they turn on their favorite TV show, Live with Murray Franklin. Arthur idolizes the host, so much so that he starts imagining what it would feel like to be amongst the audience. In his daydream, Arthur envisions sitting amongst the crowd and shouting out to Murray, who asks him to stand up. He starts talking about taking care of his sick mother, all to hear inappropriate chuckles coming from the audience. However, Murray immediately settles them down and relates to Arthur's story by talking about how his father left him as a child.
I lived with my mother before I made it, just me and her. I'm that kid whose father went out for a pack of cigarettes.
Nope, got an ad coming
and
up.
He never came back.
Oh no, I bet tonight is coming soon. Right as my song is getting really good.
Ludwig, with YouTube Music Premium, there are no ads.
Oh, dope, 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 dope.
Get YouTube Premium. All YouTube, no interruptions.
Yeah. Gotta love the ads.
You guys know how it is when you buy a new Mac. It's super fast at first, and then pretty soon after it starts to slow down. That's probably because you haven't been using Clean My Mac X, which will help clean, speed up, optimize, and protect your computer. I use it on my Mac. That is my daily driver, and it is really, really dope. Not only is the first tool just insanely satisfying, SmartScan looks at your system log files and your user cache to see what you don't need anymore to make sure that everything is optimized and can speed up your Mac in just a couple of seconds. And then Space Lens is so cool to see what's taking up the most space. As somebody who is constantly running out of space, I use this all the time. And it's like, oh, that's the 1 terabyte file that is just absolutely draining my SSD. Plus, you get optimization for programs and malware tools to make sure that there's no viruses or bad things on your computer. So to make sure your Mac is running as fast and as smooth and as optimized and as crispy and as clean as possible, check out Clean My Mac X.
Yeah. More junk, more ads. Taking your time and your attention and selling it. Gotta love it when people do that.
I know what that's like, Murray.
Murray is like a father to Arthur, and he invites Arthur up on stage, and the two share a reassuring embrace. The next day, Arthur returns to work and has a chat with his co-worker Randall before he starts the shift. While the two talk, Arthur mentions the group of teens who assaulted him, and Randall offers him a gun for his protection. Arthur's hesitant, but Randall insists, and so Arthur takes the gun. And right before he's about to leave, Arthur is told to stop by his boss's office. Once he arrives, his boss coldly reprimands him about losing the company's sign the last day.
If you don't return the sign, I gotta take it out of your paycheck.
Arthur can only put on a phony, empty smile, as his boss takes a cut from his wages to pay.
Your mic's muted.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I noticed before I got out of here that they were mentioning what you were talking about the imaging, for perception.
Yep.
Also, while I was gone, I did the ketone fucking sample thing.
Yeah.
And apparently I am in ketosis without even trying.
Yeah.
So I think I have diabetes, guys.
Oh.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Is there a cure?
Cure for diabetes? No. You can manage it. Diet, exercise, monitoring glucose levels in your blood. Get a glucometer, which will actually prick your finger. You can even get the ones that will stick on for a couple of days or a week. Then there's smartphone apps that work off of Bluetooth that'll actually monitor your blood sugar. And you're just going to you can actually manage it. I do know people that manage it just with diet and exercise.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've lost fucking like 46 pounds now in fucking less than 2 months. I'm not overweight here.
Well,
and
no,
I'm not eating badly.
No, when I say manage it with like diet and exercise, like you'll notice being able to scan or check your blood sugar. If you notice you have, let's say you check your blood sugar and it comes out, say you eat dinner at 5 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock at night, and you're going to go to bed at, let's say, 10 o'clock. You would want to eat something 3-4 hours prior to going to bed and give your body a chance to digest it, and then monitor your blood sugar in the morning. And then you'll notice, okay, well, my blood sugar was at 120 in the morning, and it was at 75 last night. Okay, then the next morning, less sugars, less grains, more vegetables, and more sources of protein, dairy, meat, things like that.
I already do that though.
And you're just gonna have to manage it with diet, your physical activity levels, and what you eat. You just monitor, make sure you're getting enough grain, and balance how much sugars and grains you're putting in your body, and what you're putting in and what you're taking out of your body. And that's the only way you can manage it that way. That's the only way you can really do it.
It seems like what you're saying is what I've been doing for months and months. How the fuck did I go into a bad state of diabetes, I guess, without even noticing? Should I eat more chocolate?
I wouldn't say chocolate, but you want to focus on longer chain carbohydrates. You want to focus more like wild rice, starches, some starches, and timing and balancing what you eat and when. It's the best way you can do it.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Is this gonna kill me?
Well, something's going to eventually kill you.
No, but is this gonna kill me?
It might.
Okay.
But nobody lives forever.
No, that's true.
Something gets all of us. Something gets all of us all the time.
Yeah, well, I said to Dak tonight, I was like, hey, according to all the signs, it's looking like I got diabetes, and if I do, that means I beat you to it. So I win, Dak. Fuck you, I win.
Yeah.
But anyway, carry it on with this video.
Yeah, I mean,
was there
case in
anything?
point, we just went through that moment where he talks about where the coworker gives him the pistol. Never should have taken it.
No.
Situational and environmental awareness. If he were looking around and monitoring what was going on around him, he would have been able to prevent those kids from taking his sign. So.
Well, they did kind of sneak up on him. I mean, you can't suspect everyone in a crowded street of being, willing to take your fucking sign and beat you with it.
Right. But also they've already talked about how he's already known people in society ignore him, don't pay any attention to him. Okay, so you can't rely on other people around you to tip you off on if something's going to happen. You're a stranger in a strange land. You're out in the middle of nowhere. You have to be aware of your surroundings.
That is true. I mean, like you said about hiking, camping, hunting, stuff like that. I mean, just sometimes you're the hunted.
Yeah.
I know from personal experience.
Yeah, so
you know
do
what
I.
I mean? So, it's always a bit of a surprise when you step into like a sleeping fucking animal.
Oh yeah, trust me, I've done
Yeah.
it. I spooked a moose.
Yeah.
I remember I was pulling a drag line behind me when I was bow hunting one year, and I tied it up with some doe estrus, and I hung it like 25 yards away from me, and I saw a bobcat walking, following the scent.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that fucker didn't bounce on you?
Well, I was 20 feet up in a tree. He didn't see me.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those motherfuckers are mean. A lot of people underestimate them because they think they're cute.
Well, they are kind of adorable, but
yeah.
They're
also fucking predators.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cute predators.
Right. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, situational awareness, and that's another thing you will learn from hunting and being outdoors.
Oh, and that's where a lot of like you were saying, like, we have the Xbox generation, right?
Right.
These people aren't used to being around other people. They aren't prone to cues or even like just putting them out there. It's like looking at a nervous mouse in the fucking middle of a stampede. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They stand out that way.
Yeah, Polska, we're still going.
Yeah. We're gonna try to wrap it up around 2.5 hours at max, but we got to get through this video first. So, let's go here.
Yeah.
For another sign. It's clear that Arthur has nothing going for him. He has no connection to his work. He has no connection to the people around him. He is completely unfulfilled and washed with nihilism. And this is where the second stage of societal revolution enters the picture. The resentment stage. You see, Arthur represents millions of lonely men who have been trodden on by society. Each and every time they're put down, it makes them more and more resentful of the society that has rejected them. This resentment then boils under the surface, and it's clear in Joker that this exact process is happening to Arthur. It adds to the growing resentment within him, and every time he's dehumanized like this, it burns away more of his looking glass self. The loneliness and negativity that this creates in both the individual and the society leads to mass resentment. But what is resentment if not a lack of good communication? Our society has ignored Arthur and millions of men like him, but beyond that, the lines of communication have broken down completely. There's no outlet for men like Arthur. There's nothing left for them to turn to. In Michel Foucault's book, Madness and Civilization, he paints a picture that's strikingly similar to what we've discussed. He states that madness or mental illness isn't purely biological or a chemical problem, but is instead deemed so by the society of the time. Like in our age of cancel culture, where we've been taught that people who think differently are a danger to society and that they must be ostracized and bullied into silence. You see, there's numerous factors contributing to how a society perceives and labels individuals as mentally ill. But for Foucault, this has led to an overly simplistic view on madness as a whole. The practice of rejecting those who think differently has deprived people of the ability to interact with outsiders. And this fracture in dialogue leaves many people unable to talk about or even really comprehend the underclass's problems and the reasonings for their disillusionment. And this of course only leads to more loneliness and isolation for those living on the outskirts of society. Which is why the Joker holds a mirror on how a society that shames young men is in fact responsible for the consequences that this brings. A hollow, meaning
I kind of wanted to step in there and say that this is absolutely what is going on.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. When
yeah.
we
That's
tell
exactly
people,
what we're seeing happen.
yeah, I mean, we've been told as men, like throughout my whole fucking life, and I'm sure yours too, we are fucking the worst of the worst. We're
Oh
all
yeah,
fucking garbage. And it just got worse and worse as it went to the point where
yeah,
today you can literally say and almost do anything you want to a man. And it's still considered like he deserves it
yep,
because of what's between his legs.
right. And that's why my point previously about, go to your local, probably a park in your area that you can start either fishing or start archery or start something outdoors. There's going to be people there. You can network, you can learn from them. You're going to build a network, and then you don't have to be reliant on random strangers in society. You're going to build your own group, your own tribe of people that have a similar interest of you. And you're going to have an outlet where you can say, hey, you know what, I had a horrible day, had to deal with, XYZ, whatever it may be. And they're like, hey man, you know what, we all have great days, we all have bad days.
Right.
And that's where, Chris, you and I have talked about building a network within, the network of men, saying, hey, you know what, I'm having a bad day, dude. Shoot me an email. Hey, things aren't going great. Murphy's showed up. And you have an outlet for it.
Yeah.
And that
Well, and
prevents nihilism from showing up in your life.
like I was saying, the MGTOW community,
Yeah.
right? Especially when it comes to open panels, open discussions, or even ones that go to other fucking platforms such as the Discord and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's such a tempting candle for fucking men because it does almost fulfill that tribe mentality or the community that we used to have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've talked about my community here a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like wherever women get involved, right? The community fucking network breaks down.
Yeah. And it's bad. I mean, I've been in some communities and I've seen some things where there are some women that come in and they actually offer a different perspective and help the community grow. But those are rare.
Very rare.
Exceedingly rare.
Like I said, the girls that have taken over here now, they're basically in a clique.
Yes.
Right? So nothing happens if they don't want it to happen. So
Right.
they use like the Triple H fucking or AAA riding arenas and stuff like that because they are horse girls, right?
Oh yeah.
Or some of them are. And they use the community kitchen type of thing when they want to.
Right.
They don't do anything now for the holidays.
Nope.
Right? I'm literally fucking taking over for the Halloween one. And if push comes to shove, I'll fucking borrow somebody's fucking barn and hold a Christmas one too if I have to.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, and that's where the importance of building a network and a community. And that's why I said get a hobby, get an activity, get something outdoors where you can actually network with other people.
Absolutely.
And that will serve you far greater than anything else you can do.
What would you suggest for a rural community like mine?
Rural community like yours, I mean, if you have, I don't know what the options are for, I mean, you can do seasonal events, you can do, everybody do, like I know in my area, all my neighbors, we all know each other, we all grow different vegetables, and weekly we trade vegetables when our gardens are growing in.
Oh. Okay.
As simple as that is, I mean, just about everybody I know has a garden. Most people I know just picked up gardening after the thing that shall not be named occurred. But everybody start a small garden, share vegetables. I mean,
seed swap.
Right, exactly.
And not the liquid kind.
Exactly. Grow your own. And what does that teach? It teaches you how to garden, teaches you how to grow your own food, and it helps you network with people around you.
That's a good idea.
Billy and I talked about this many times because he didn't start growing anything until like 2020, and now he loves it. He said he really enjoys doing it. And then you can pick up things like canning and pickling, and then you can build a group of neighbors out of that where everybody gets together in fall and preserves food for the winter.
You know what? Actually, I could utilize one of the people that's on the board because she's big into that.
Yeah.
Now that could be my in to one of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not to manipulate in a bad way, but to manipulate in a positive way.
Well, yeah. Any kind of human interaction is manipulation at its core.
Right, but with a moral background, we'll say.
Correct.
Because I have to have my moral high ground, right?
Right. And something as simple as that. If you like fishing, fish. If you like biking, bike. If you like hiking, hike. If you like to be outside and you want to be friends with your neighbors or whatever it may be, grow a garden.
Well, I've considered moving out here. We have an area right nearby where a lot of the dirt bikers and quadders and even horseback riders come out to visit, right?
Yeah.
Like today it was packed, but there's nothing there for them.
Right.
Like there's literally just space to park. That's it. There are facilities sitting right there. Right? Again, back to the community fucking board own fucking shit.
Right.
That literally are just sitting there now, not being used.
Right.
So, I guess if I could get really in deep with a couple of the board members, it'd be like, okay, so how about every Saturday and Sunday we open up this bitch? You know what I mean? Serve hot dogs to people that are coming and give them somewhere to get a drink of water or something like that, right? Make them want to stay.
Simple, kind gestures that keep them there and keep them coming back and keep growing the community.
Exactly.
And doing those simple things helps prevent the nihilism that we were seeing them talking about in the progression of becoming the Joker.
Yes.
I see all this stuff happening. I'm watching the stuff happening in our times now. But what can we do? Okay, yeah, we see a problem. What can we do to stop it? What can we do to prevent it? What can we do to change the course? Like I said earlier, his coworker that gave him a gun, he should have just put the locker, either hand it back and say, no, I'm not going to do that, or put it in a locker and never touch it and just go and drop it in a drop box at the police department. Don't start picking fights like that. These are some of the small changes and small events that he could have changed and he could have done differently. And so, yeah.
But then again, that requires, some insight to how, you should behave in society. He's clearly had none of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he's seeing a therapist, I'm surprised that wasn't even discussed.
Yeah, but most therapists, let's be honest, they're not very good.
No, they're not.
I mean, if we had to give out fucking Darwinism awards for fucking therapists, they'd all have one.
Oh, agreed. Agreed.
So, but hey, well,
let's keep moving.
Yeah, let's keep moving on here. We'll play a bit more.
Meaningless, synthetic culture that shows nothing but vicious hostility towards true expression and authenticity. And this lack of effective public dialogue is clear in Joker. Arthur is constrained by the clinical apparatus of therapy that has become his only place of solace from society. In his first scene with the therapist, it's clear that Arthur isn't getting any actual help from the system. He still feels awful all the time, and it seems like his medications aren't even doing what they're supposed to. What Arthur really needs deep down is friendship, love, and community. All the things that the radical atomization and breakdown of modern society destroys. Arthur has no one to talk to or any way to meaningfully express himself, and it's tearing him apart. But as Foucault said, there's no dialogue with people on the fringes anymore. And that is what causes growing resentment in society, when huge swaths of men are completely detached from the world around them and pushed into the shadows. We see this in the next scene, when Arthur takes his anger out on a nearby dumpster by violently kicking it on his way home.
Oh, fucking ads.
Yeah.
But at least I'm here to skip them.
Yeah.
But just as Arthur is about to take the elevator up to his room, he stops the door from closing after a woman asks him to hold it. Introducing herself as Sophie, she's joined by her young daughter, and she begins making small talk with Arthur. This comes as a shock to him, and Arthur has trouble maintaining composure. After Sophie makes some joking notions about the awful state of their building, she mimes shooting herself in the head, and this little hand motion sends Arthur head over heels for her. You see, so far in the movie, Arthur's only meaningful connection has been with his mother, so when a woman shows him some genuine affection or at least treats him like a human being, this 180 makes Arthur immediately fall for her. But he isn't exactly in love with Sophie, since he barely knows her. Instead, Arthur is in love with the idea of what she could be. In Arthur's mind, Sophie is an image of perfection and safety rather than an actual person. She's the escape from Arthur's horrible dystopian life, and yet due to his anxieties, Arthur hedges his bets and doesn't talk to her any longer, as she could either outright reject him or turn out not to be the person he had imagined, because she is the only ray of joy to come into his dreary, hollowed-out existence. And if he squashed that, he'd have nothing left. Because Arthur doesn't have higher purposes or goals. His life consists of feeling inadequate, feeling numbed on medication, living a boring existence, all so that he can seek relief from the tedium by intervals of pleasure. And these pleasures and joys are uncertain and brief, so Arthur has to grab any joy he can and drown out the realization that his whole life is futile and meaningless. And it's this sort of thing that actually leads to things like incels and OnlyFans. This phenomenon has grown immensely in the past few years, something that we haven't seen before in hundreds of years of history. And this is a result of a huge section of society being completely detached from the people they see on a daily basis. It's this loneliness and not having any goals that makes people do crazy things to nourish their soul. But these solutions are always only temporary. They fall through the hands. We see these solutions, we see these glimpses of pleasure as mere projections. In the case of OnlyFans, a viewer is merely projecting what they want to see onto a woman, and this is just a symptom of millions of men who lack any meaningful romantic connections. These men are everywhere, men who have fallen through the cracks of society and have been reduced to depressed hedonists. But of course, these solutions are never sufficient substitutes for real human connection, and like almost all pleasures, they end up leaving you feel empty inside. You see, all the factors that we've talked about contribute to the massive problem of loneliness. And this feeling gives way to a bitter hatred for the society that isolated them. And this is yet another way that resentment has been brewing in our society. Things like OnlyFans only compound the problem for these lonely men. And matched in the real world, Arthur also seeks a parasocial relationship with Sophie and starts stalking her from afar. That is until she notices and stops by Arthur's apartment afterwards, questioning if he was following her around.
Are you following me today?
Arthur has no idea how he's going to get out of this predicament, and so he admits what he was doing. Although strangely, Sophie doesn't seem too bothered by all of this, and so Arthur invites her out to a nearby comedy club as he's been practicing his craft and finally has the confidence to perform. However, it all goes awfully. The only thing that goes right is Sophie being the only one to laugh in the audience.
Be a comedian.
Following this, Arthur's life only gets worse and worse. He's back to work doing a gig at a children's hospital. Everything seems to be going well until the gun that he bought falls out of his pocket while doing a dance. Now, a children's hospital really isn't the best place to flex your gun, and so of course this incident ends up getting reported to his boss, and once he hears about it, Arthur is fired on the spot. Even worse, Arthur's friend, the man who actually gave him the gun in the first place, throws him under the bus by claiming the firearm always belonged to Arthur. Distraught and with very little to lose, Arthur takes another lonely ride back home on the subway, wearing his full clown makeup. This is rock bottom. Arthur has nearly lost everything, and each day he's been treated more and more like garbage. His self-image is in tatters. His looking-glass self is broken. There is nothing left to lose. Arthur is faced with a horrific realization. that the routine and drudgery of his life, all the pain and fear, is leading to nowhere. His constant struggle for a better life was all for nothing. The belief in a future, better, happier life is now completely dead. So what else is there for Arthur if all his beliefs are officially dead? Well, that's when you develop a new identity, a new purpose. And in our real world, this is how more twisted beliefs begin to metastasize. And it's within these new beliefs that Arthur loses his own emptiness and loneliness. In fact, new political beliefs are the only thing that will give Arthur courage in the dark. And just like that...
Hey, Nate, not because I wanted to interject, but when it comes to this whole new persona they take on when they snap.
Psychological coping mechanism.
Yeah. Do you remember that young gentleman that ran over all those people and they were like listing him as like the original incel fucking terrorist kind of guy?
Way back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, he was filmed this video from his car.
Mm-hmm.
And he put it up on YouTube. Did you see like the difference in him that day when he had finally snapped compared to what he had uploaded previously?
Yep.
Like sorry, go ahead.
I remember watching some of that stuff and then they scrubbed everything he put up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize they scrubbed it.
Yeah, look, you could watch the progression of it. I mean, it's like watching the Joker in real life. That's exactly what happened to this kid.
And I mean, he had a lot of the cues when it came to like the socially awkwardness, the abuse at home, right, or neglect in some cases.
Yeah,
straight up neglect. But yeah, like I remember that video he uploaded before he went on that rampage there. It was like talking or listening to a different person.
Yeah,
like completely different person.
Oh yeah, and you'll see that in abuse cases. You'll actually notice like personality fracturing and multiple personality disorders, and you'll actually see different personalities develop. It's crazy to actually watch that, and that's how people cope with stressful situations like that. It's amazing how people can do that within their own brain to cope with things. It's happening to somebody else. It's complete disassociation within their own brain. It's amazing to study.
Well, I mean, the young gentleman that we're keeping an eye on and having talks with, we're trying. I got to try to get together and set up another meeting of the minds here with him, but he sort of drifts in and out too. You know what I mean? Like, he starts off completely coherent and normal, and then all of a sudden something will kind of like switch, and then it's like you don't even know who this person is anymore. Nothing's coherent.
Right.
Nothing's on point. Interjections just randomly. You know what I mean? With nothing, close to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
Kind of wondering if maybe that's his trigger and his coping mechanism.
It's a start of one.
One that's clearly not gone to the point where it's like always on now, but
no. And the thing is, usually in cases like that, you're going to notice, usually before something like that, before he'll interject and like change the subject, you'll notice he'll get really quiet in a group conversation or a group setting, and then all of a sudden he'll interject with something that's completely off topic and derail everything in a direction of something that he knows more about, just to feel like he's still part of the group, to reassure himself that he fits in there.
That's literally word for word what happens.
And it happens repeatedly. Usually around 10 to 12 minutes.
Probably.
Yeah.
Sometimes 20.
Yeah. Dude, I told you, I studied this stuff above and beyond to the point where it would scare most people.
Well, what would you recommend? Because, I mean, we're trying to help the guy out, obviously.
Yeah.
We did all our conversation with him backstage.
I'm by no means a licensed practitioner or
you don't have to be.
But what I would do is, you're sitting on your phone, you're sitting on your computer, put a timer on your phone. Every 5 minutes, directly ask him something. like you and I were talking here, like, call him and hey, I've seen this happen with other people. Have you ever seen this happen? Just ask him for his perspective on things. Make him feel part of the group. Do it every 2 minutes. Do it every 5 minutes, and just let him speak.
Yeah, that sounds like something I could definitely try. Like I
It,
said,
it's very
it,
simple.
it does seem like if the topics go on and they bounce around from person to person,
Yeah.
it might be something he has no input on.
Right.
So after a while, he just randomly switches and just interjects with something completely out of the blue.
Yeah.
And I know he's trying really hard. And like I said, the background is not good. It's this massive pile of red fucking flags, homie.
Oh yeah, more red flags than a Chinese Communist Party.
Exactly. So
not good.
Yeah. I think though that this community absolutely can help him.
Oh yeah, it can.
Right. And he isn't going to get what he needs where he's at right now.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
No, because I mean these people haven't given two fucks about him in his life so far to even ask if he's okay. They're not going to start today just because.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it takes an active community to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll continue playing this on and we'll get out of here soon.
The Joker is born. After years of resentment, Arthur is ready to explode, and something is about to push him off the precipice. It all begins while Arthur is minding his own business, and suddenly notices a group of 3 well-dressed men harassing a lone woman. These men are rich yuppies, and they're using their power to exploit this vulnerable woman. It's a microcosm of Arthur's wider political views, and with the stress of the day finally reaching Arthur's head, he unintentionally starts laughing, to which the group of men take notice. Shifting their attention, they now start toying with Arthur, eventually transitioning to a full-on beatdown. But little do they know the clown has finally reached a breaking point, and Arthur pulls out a weapon and immediately shoots 2 of them, and injuring the last one. High off the adrenaline, Arthur then makes his way to the stairs where the last man fled and proceeds to finish him. But contrary to what most might feel after taking the lives of multiple people, Arthur now finds a strange sense of peace, and he begins dancing alone in front of a bathroom mirror. Due to the victims being high-profile Wall Street yuppies, news of this quickly spreads to the top of Gotham's political ladder. One of the leaders, Thomas Wayne, aligns himself fully against this and labels those who oppose him clowns. But little does Gotham realize that this incident has lit a fire under the city. Public unrest is bubbling up to the surface, and it's becoming harder and harder to prevent. It seems like just like that, thousands and thousands of people hide behind clown masks. And these clowns aren't just thugs. They are the consequence of a society that has turned their back on the underclass. A generation of frustration, anxiety, agitation, and repulsion to modernity's supposedly high standard of living. A standard of living that solely comprises of a violent and complex stimulation of sense at every second of the day, causing the need for more and more violent stimulation. A generation that craves distraction, as many distractions as can be crammed into the shortest possible time, all while living a life completely isolated from everyone, with no attachment to their labor or society. It's becoming a simple reality for millions of these people that there is no longer a belief in the society that they live in. The binding traditions of the society they live in are no longer enough to fortify the
Where all your tabs go, everywhere you go. There's no place like Chrome.
You started with yoga for beginners, but now you've moved into advanced inversions.
destruction of their community and happiness, and so the only way out of their despair requires a complete revolution. Which leads us on to the third step of Western revolution, social unrest. You see, when a society and its habitants become too harsh, it pushes more and more people out of it, and when the loneliness and resentment get to be too much for people to handle, cracks in the society start to show, and the next scene of Joker gives us an insight into what causes this. It's shortly after this point that Arthur goes to see his therapist once more, and lots of what he says points us to another influential thinker on madness. R.D. Laing is a controversial figure in psychiatry, but one of his core theories matches what Arthur says in this scene exactly. Arthur mentions that he, quote, didn't know if he really existed. And you see, R.D. Laing theorized that one of schizophrenia's underlying causes is ontological insecurity, which means not being sure whether you actually exist. And as a defense mechanism to this existential problem, the self fractures into multiple pieces. In Joker, we see this happen literally, as Arthur's life devolves into chaos and he becomes increasingly unsure of what's really happening. With his personality splintering into two, Arthur and his new identity, the Joker. But here we can see a change in Arthur. He seems to have confirmed to himself that he really does exist, and the reason why is clear. He has found proof from the chaos itself that he created. His first meaningful impact on society wasn't done by Arthur, but by this new Joker. And this process also happens in the real world every day in the form of political radicalization. Men who have nothing to live for fall into an existential crisis, and often the solution they find is ideology, whether that be intellism or political extremism. But all of these ideologies offer a destructive outlet for resentment disguised as a belief system. And if enough people get swept up by this new ideology, if enough people want to tear down the society they hate, it can directly lead to unrest, violence, and revolution. Sometime later, Arthur gets a visit from a couple of detectives investigating the subway murders. The duo starts grilling him, but Arthur is able to hold it together and get them to leave. Shortly after, he finds that his mother has been hospitalized because of a severe illness. Once he pays her a visit, he sees that none other than Murray Franklin is live on TV, making a mockery of his stand-up. And while it seems like Murray is going to cancel Arthur, he actually receives a phone call moments later inviting him on the show. He reluctantly accepts, but then suddenly gets a bright, twisted idea after hanging up. Instead of going along with the inevitable public humiliation, Arthur will instead send everyone a message by ending himself on live TV. This is how he shows how sick the society has become, and he will sacrifice himself to do this. And you see, this is the turning point, where the Joker begins truly spiraling into madness. Firstly, after talking to Mr. Wayne, Arthur soon discovers that his mother was never actually his biological parent, and that he had been an orphan this entire time. And he later learns through confidential documents that his mom regularly abused him as a baby and had cooperated with her boyfriend while doing so. The straw that broke the camel's back was the mention of a head injury that was the probable cause of Arthur's laughing condition. After this is revealed, Arthur makes his way up to the hospital and takes away his mother's life. Things take an even worse turn once Arthur visits Sophie in her apartment, who appears terrified at just the mere sight of him. Arthur attempts to make some conversation, but she responds by saying she doesn't even know who he is, because their whole relationship was just a delusion. Although fortunately for Sophie, Arthur is able to somewhat gather himself and leave without hurting her. By this point in the story, Arthur's self is truly degrading. Possibly the last good things in his life have dissolved in a matter of moments. The bitter truth of his real reality has destroyed his last self. All the delusions of his relationship with Sophie have crumbled into the ground. These constant blows grow Joker's identity, and it's this exact road that many incels go down as well. The process of radicalization is extremely toxic, with violence occasionally following in its wake. Societal problems like this lead to the horrific disasters that we see in the US. A generation of alienated, lonely men is one of the most dangerous things to society, and the Joker shows this, as Arthur gets ready for a spot on the Murray Franklin show. While making his way to the studio, Arthur begins dancing down the stairs, fully embracing the chaos that he finds himself in. However, he gets interrupted when the same detectives who questioned him earlier see Arthur and the scene he is currently making. The two move to arrest him, but he bolts to the subway station, even getting hit by a car on the way there. Once they will reach the metro, nearly everyone inside is wearing clown masks to blend in with the ongoing protests. Fortunately, this allows Arthur to slip away from the law, and in the process, the detectives start getting beaten up by an irate group of passengers. The rebellion is growing. All the branches of the government and society around them are slowly being destroyed. And after everything he's been through, Arthur finally makes it to the TV studio. He hides his true intentions by donning his public mask and begins dancing whimsically over to his guest chair. He's playing his role as the stupid, idiot, loser man. And after he takes a seat next to an elderly couple, Arthur plainly admits live on TV that he was the one behind the subway attack. He defends himself by saying that
If it was me dying on the sidewalk, you'd walk right over me.
obviously a well-connected and influential man like Murray Franklin isn't very convinced by these justifications, because he is the top of society, he is the elite, the status quo. He's the one reaping the rewards of this sick society. And Arthur has already made up his mind about what he's going to do next. So he asks Murray if he wants to hear another joke. What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash? You get what you deserve, as he proceeds to air Murray in the face live on air. This is the final stage of revolution. The trigger. It's that one action that brings down the house of cards. For Arthur, this is the final release of all the pent-up anger and resentment that's been boiling up inside of him. A twisted catharsis to get back at the society that treated him like dirt. And this action is the final stage of revolution, where the growing loneliness and resentment of society hits a breaking point. When new political beliefs start, This makes Gotham a ticking time bomb, and the ending of this key establishment figurehead on live TV is more than enough to set it off. To all the millions of clowns, Murray is a personification of the society that has kept them down, and it seems to be that the trigger like this is seemingly the only step we've avoided so far in today's world. But we can only hope that these changes to our society are reversed before it's too late, as over the last section of the movie, we see the consequences of this revolution play out. Chaos ensues, with riots erupting all over Gotham. And in the back of a police cruiser, Arthur sees the sheer scale of the upheaval that he has caused, and it brings a smile to his face. It seems like Arthur is on his way to be locked up for life until a rogue ambulance crashes into the vehicle, killing the two policemen, with the protesters then carrying an unconscious Arthur out of the wreckage and laying him gently on the hood of the car. After a few seconds, Arthur gazes round at the massive crowd that has formed. It's at this moment that Arthur no longer exists. His new identity, his new belief, his new hope for a better world has begun. And so he starts dancing in a similar fashion to before, as he draws a smile with blood across his mouth, and the crowd cheers seeing their Messiah. At the end of the film, the Joker finds himself imprisoned in Arkham Asylum being questioned. He has been telling a psychologist a story, and begins laughing once it's all said and done. The interrogator wants to know what's so funny, but Arthur responds that she just wouldn't get it. Moments later, he steps out of the room, and the film ends on a hallway shot of Arthur walking towards a window filled with light, leaving behind a trail of bloody footprints in his wake. Just like in Joker, tragedy is all that awaits if we see this twisted course of events in our own world. Something must be done to stop these similar processes in their tracks, otherwise Joker could turn from a mere warning to a prophetic image of the future.
And you never know which individual out there is going to be the one to actually snap like that. You never know. That can happen to anybody.
Sorry, I was muted the whole time there. I personally wanted to say I thought that video was beautifully done by Moon.
Yeah.
And as for who was going to snap, any of them, any of us, all of us, you know what I mean?
At any point in time.
Any point in time. I mean, people are fucking fed up with this shit.
Yeah.
The COOF thing and, you know, the government overreach, I mean, that's just all perpetuated everything that much faster.
Right.
Because, I mean, they looked at most people and said, do what we say, because otherwise you're a piece of garbage. They fucking didn't discriminate then at all.
Nope.
So we got a couple guys that want to come in for a few minutes and say hello. So we'll open it up here, guys. And yeah, we'll see what everybody else thought. Get your guys' input on this. Personally, like I said, I think me and Nate were pretty much on the same level. We know that this is inevitable because most people have been so conditioned to essentially be the what was the show host name? Murray?
Yeah. Was it Maury Franklin, I think?
Yeah. Being a beneficiary of other people's fucking misery.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They get off on it. Even if there's no financial gain or a social gain, they just get off on it. And they like to provoke it.
The only reason that they do it is because it's the easy way out for them. No accountability, no responsibility. They can do what they want, and they're rewarded for not doing anything. Taking an easy way out.
You mean the people like the host there?
Yeah. He doesn't care. All he wants to do is read a script, make fun of the society. He doesn't want to actively be a part of society. He just wants to comment on it without actually being involved with improving the community.
And basically use it for his showtime to get viewers. Right. No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, we have grifters in our community that do the same thing.
Right. He's looking to profit financially from it, and he's selling. He draws people's attention in, and he sells ad space to advertisers, just like commercials on anything else. Same thing.
And I mean, it's not like certain people didn't profit from our fucking, oppression this last couple years, right?
Right.
Or poisoning. whatever you want to call it. I
Right.
mean, personally, there's a long list of people that need to go on a fucking like um to go into the courts for like genocide
Mm-hmm.
or
Well,
participating in genocide.
give it
That
enough
list is
time and
huge.
it'll happen. Give it
Yeah.
enough time and it will happen.
Yeah. I mean, you hear tensions run pretty high.
Yeah.
We're seeing division on a level that's almost like how you would see things normally in Texas or something. You know, I know you guys have been looking to, or those guys have been looking to like separate from the union.
Yeah.
We got countries or provinces that want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know
what
what
do
I
they?
mean?
There's a study about a year and a half ago, before even any of this happened, to like 32 to 33% of the population of North America would want to change governmental and societal rules and secede from the current system they live in.
Absolutely. I mean, people are tired of being oppressed. They're tired of being told what to do. And it's not all of us, because there are huge fucking swaths of people that have been poisoned mentally,
Mm-hmm.
brainwashed, and fucking convinced wholeheartedly that having Hitler's boot on their neck is a good thing. They've just changed the name from Hitler to government.
Right.
When governments behave like fucking Nazi regimes, they're still Nazi regimes, right?
Right.
And that's what we live in.
Yeah. Authoritarian manipulation is authoritarian manipulation, no matter who's doing it.
Exactly. Doesn't matter how many words they use or what pretty ones they say or what office they go in or who's in there with them. It's all the same fucking shit.
Greed, power, and control.
Mm-hmm. And very quick. Well, I mean, Trudeau released the whole fucking like the handgun ban, right?
Yeah.
And what happened?
I don't know.
Over 1.8 million fucking handguns were bought.
Oh.
That's not by accident. People went out and bought them. That the official effect date was yesterday or Friday.
Oh, really?
Sorry, Friday. It was Friday. Yeah, that was the official day where it was now in place that there will be no more handguns sold here in this country. But 1.8 million fucking people went and bought handguns, knowing that the government was going to come and confiscate them.
Yeah,
there's
that only ends badly. What's up, Paul?
What's up, brother Bob?
Chris, you didn't ask for the password.
Oh, fuck. Well, I saw the fucking Ministry of Beer. Is this stalker fucking hanging out in your places?
No. You definitely made the right decision. But next time, we'll keep the password verification in place until it stops. So, all right.
All right. Sounds good, buddy. So what's your input on this?
Okay, on how the collapse of society is going to happen, I think we're all very, very clear on this, right?
Yeah, we're clear on this, but
yeah,
is it possible to still reach out to our young men, especially, and bring them back to a fucking sense of reality, a sense of decency, back to the tribe before they get lost and fucking basically slaughtered like cattle?
I think a lot of them are too far gone, which is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can pick and choose some, but no, it's too far gone now. I mean, society is alienated so much of our men. All right, so much of the young men out there now that they're all black pillars now, and they're thinking about geomaxing and whatever, all the other crazy stuff that's going out there. Let's talk about what's his face, Stardust, right? And his channel, Thinking Ape. Stardust is a black pillar now, and he was one of the original guys.
So explain to me what because I mean I'm a bit ignorant to the whole black pillar thing, right? Like, what exactly are you saying when you say he's gone black pillar?
Okay, they have it's nihilism basically is what they've gone to, right? They know that there's no hope at all. Okay. And Nate, I think you probably know a little bit about this too, but they've gone to the whole kind of like the Hormaxer side thing where they need to change their bodies and change their locations to to attract the female, right? Like a good part of that documentary you guys were watching was that whole thing, Arthur in his mind, that relationship with that girl, that was all in his fucking head. It never actually happened in the movie.
Yeah.
He just
fantasized it.
Yeah, he created it out of his mind and stuff like that. And I think that's a problem that's a lot going on with crushed men in our society, Now we've been beaten. Chris, the bottom line is that we didn't know we were in a war. And we had lost the war even before we knew we were in a fight.
Yeah. We absolutely did. We lost the war due to the simple fact that we were trying to be more acceptant. You know what I mean? We were trying that whole PC thing fucking actually worked when it shouldn't have.
No, yeah, like we didn't know there was an actual fight going on, and we'd lost the war before we even knew there was a fight. And the bottom line is there's only one way for this thing to go now. And I think, Nate, you realize it too. It's going to have to be a two-way rifle range.
Oh, and that's going to happen, yeah.
And what the puppet masters, the people who don't realize is that once we go full on and unleash the violence of men, they're going to find out real quick how brutal and quickly we can end it.
Well, I mean, I have to agree. It's just the end goals have to be, to some sense, moral. I'm not saying we all want to do fucking horrible things, but we're going to have to do horrible things for the right reason.
I agree, but like I said, the fact that we lost this war already means that we're going to have to turn it on the state houses, on all the politicians, everybody who decided to change the laws, and we're going to have to reset the patriarchy.
Oh, absolutely.
Again.
And as your emperor, I will make sure that I fix all of this, and it ain't never fucking coming back.
As your minister of beer, I will make sure we make that happen.
Bob, as the minister of beer, you have to be the minister of the ingredients for said beer, right?
Yes, I do know how to ferment everything.
So you have to you have to oversight shit.
I am at my ministry of beer right now. And
yeah, there you go. What's up, brother cowboy?
Hey, what's up, Emperor? How are you?
Oh, living the dream, buddy. I got diabetes. Did you hear?
Oh, is it type 1 or type 2?
I have no idea. Apparently, that's
adult onset.
That's what's wrong with me.
Well, are you injecting yourself?
No, I literally just looked it up today to see where all my fucking symptoms were falling in line, and it told me fucking type 2 diabetes.
Well, if you're not injecting yourself, that's a good thing. But once you do have to inject yourself with insulin, then you're going to have to be subject to the ministry of fucking big pharma.
Fuck that. But anyway, yeah, I went and also, while I was on commercial break here, I went to pee on a ketone strip.
Yeah. If you can talk about that for a second. Have you seen a doctor? Have you been?
No.
Do you have an official diagnosis?
No. It's just all the signs point to fucking diabetes. And when the ketone strip came out and said that I was in heavy ketosis, I was like, you have to go on a diet to get into ketosis, or you have to have something wrong with you. That points to like something wrong with you.
Yeah. So my dad has diabetes. I was just talking with Bob about this. Post with Bob about this yesterday to go see him at the bar.
Yeah, we were at the Ministry of Beer last night.
So because you talked about it, that brought it to reality. Yes.
Well, I just claim to have read up on it before. Like, do you mind me asking, what are some of your symptoms?
I lost 48 pounds in under 2 months. I have extreme dehydration and thirst.
Yes.
Blurry
Yes.
vision sometimes, numbness
Yes.
in my feet, and
Oh
I'm
no.
exhausted.
Oh no. Oh yeah. No, that all sounds.
That is telltale signs.
Yeah, and like I
Yeah.
said, the ketosis strip. I mean, I used them because I tried to do the keto diet thing before.
Right. I was just about to say that.
And
Are
I
you
tried for
currently on the Atkins diet?
no, I'm not on any diet.
Okay.
That's just it. I'm not on any diet.
Because when you're on the Atkins diet or the whatever you want to call it, Atkins, South Beach, paleo, keto, low carb, whatever you want to call it, when you're on the diet and you pee, you're going to have abnormally high ketones in your urine.
Yeah, and that's why we had the strips, because me and Lisa were both trying the keto diet last year, right?
Yeah, cool.
And I was like, dude, I went 4 days before I nearly had like a fucking mental breakdown, right?
Guys, the music's loud here, so I'm going to jump out and jump back in the chat. I'll pop back in on the next smoke break, all right?
All right, warm that seat.
How old are you, Chris?
I will be 40 next month.
Right. Yeah, I just turned 39 a couple days ago.
Congratulations, buddy.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Better than the alternative.
Goes downhill from there.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'd go see a doctor. Yeah, I would definitely, start. I would definitely go see a doctor.
Well, like I said, I tried the diet, right? The keto diet.
Yeah.
And it takes about, I think it was like a week or something, they said, before you would go into what they consider the keto flu, where you felt like shit.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, right. I could tell you all about that. I've read his entire. You can call it whatever you want, whatever. But that diet that you speak of was created by Dr. Atkins. He wrote multiple books. His second book is considered his magnum opus. And by day 4, day 5, you start feeling very lethargic. You start running low on carbs.
Yeah, and that's how I was getting. Like, dude, I would sit there and have moments where I would swear to God, I just smoked a big fucking reefer, and I was just like giggling my fucking ass off. I was like losing it, right? But anyway, even going to that point, I could not get a reading on a ketone strip. Right?
Yeah.
Not even the lightest. I could not get a reading. Like, I was not in a full-on state of ketosis at that time.
So much weight. Why have you been losing so much weight?
Because I got fucking diabetes, and now that strip is black as fuck. Or red. Deep violet purple.
Yeah, bro. I would go see I would seek medical. I would go see a doctor.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I thought this was part of the because I went on those quit smoking pills, right? Chantix.
Right. The Chantix.
Yeah, that some of the side effects from Chantix is, dry mouth, nausea, things like that, right? But I stopped taking those the day Dak and Eric showed up. Okay? I was still 205 pounds when they showed up. And they've only been gone, what, 2 months? 2 months and 6 days, something like that? Or 6 days short of 2 months? And I am down 48 fucking pounds without even trying.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember listening to you over a week ago. You were talking about your weight loss. And I was like, wow, good for him, and whatever he's doing. And you might,
I thought I was doing great.
I thought you were doing great, and now it seems like it's something not good.
No, I mean, I thought with the extra gardening and stuff that I've been doing, fucking on the go all the time, that, drinking lots of water and things, that was helping, right? And eating cleaner. I thought that was helping. Turns out, no, it was just diabetes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, until you have an official diagnosis, I don't know, but yeah, I would definitely accept that. Go see, basically go see a doctor. I'd recommend go seeing a doctor. And you said you're feeling fatigued. You're feeling like low energy.
Yeah. Yeah, I get low energy, man.
Yeah.
Like by 2 o'clock, I don't just want to like rest because it's midday tiredness or anything. I
Yeah.
need to go to fucking sleep because my legs are like literally geeking out. I get restless leg syndrome right when I'm tired. But
Yeah, I don't know.
My buddy,
my father, he has diabetes. I just saw my father yesterday. I haven't seen my father in like a long time. Him and I, we had a falling out, but we're trying to rebuild our friendship relationship. And my father, he's been having some serious medical problems. I guess right now he's in early stages of renal failure or something. And he has diabetes, and his doctor told him, if you can lose like 60 pounds, your diabetes would essentially most likely go away, but he just can't lose the weight or whatever.
Well, and there's the thing, like I've never heard of anyone losing weight from diabetes.
I have.
And this was a new concept to me. Everybody I know with diabetes is overweight.
Well, the thing is, weight gain usually happens when you start using insulin. That's the way it usually works.
Well, I mean, I saw my buddy there, who I was going to take the guys to actually introduce him to. Like, I saw him a few days before they came here, and I just saw him like last week. And he's like, dude, you've lost so much weight. You look like you're sick from something like AIDS or cancer, or you're doing fucking crystal meth.
You're on crack, dude.
Yeah. I am on the last notch on my belt.
That's nuts.
Okay. Yeah, like I have to start punching holes now to fucking keep my belt, keep my pants on.
Basically, it's time for you to go get a new belt. You're just gonna have to.
Go talk to a doctor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, ultimately, yeah.
Yeah. So doctor visit for some blood drawing, I guess. Ew.
Right. Yep. I get your blood work. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that sucks.
Well, I don't know. I mean, other than being tired and losing weight, I still feel fairly okay. Right? I haven't died, obviously, from lack of insulin or too much. Like, do I need to get fucking on insulin to make this happen, or can I just change diet?
You have to talk to a doctor. Every case is different. Yep.
Like my dad, he has diabetes. He takes like a tablet every day, and he has managed to lose some weight, a little weight, like think like less than 20 pounds.
Well, you can buy my Tampax.
Closer to 30, and so like if he lost a little bit of weight, if he gained a whole bunch of weight since then, my understanding is how he explains it to me is he would have to be using what is it? The worst. I don't even know the details. He takes a tab, but if it gets worse, he might have to start injecting it or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like the worst.
Yeah.
And even worse than that, like, but you can get blindness from diabetes. You could like start feeling numbness in your fingers and your toes. You have your toes you have a foot amputated and shit like that.
Yeah,
for weeks before, like when the weight loss really started, for weeks my legs would cramp. If I like tried to stretch out my feet, they would just instantly, the calf muscles would cramp right the fuck up, like I was doing squats all day or fucking leg presses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, what the fuck is going on with my legs that I cannot straighten out my feet?
Yeah.
Holy fuck,
bad fast. Yeah, I'm gonna have to call it a night here quick. I gotta get up early for work in the morning.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
I appreciate the conversation, and of course, you're always welcome back anytime.
Well, thank you.
I'd like to bring
you have a good one. Yeah, I'm happy to join anytime I can.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too, buddy. So yeah, brother Bob or Cowboy.
Yeah.
That's
So
where
I
I'm
wanted to
at.
call in and quickly. I'm sorry to take up so much of your time. I wanted to mention two things, or I wanted to quickly discuss two things. one being Chicago and the changing political climate here, and then also I wanted to talk about essentially Batman and like just the whole I don't even know what you want to call it, the overarching psychological motifs that run through Batman. So to sort of segue, so you were I never saw this Joker movie. You were taking clips from this Joker movie.
Well, Moon actually did a great clip job from it. I haven't watched it either. I honestly think that
Okay.
if I watch it, it'll put me in a state of fucking depression. I might not get out of it, very easily. Just from what I've seen has like sparked up my PTSD. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. My cursory understanding of the movie is basically this character who becomes the Joker, and it just it shows like how his traumatic events led to him becoming who he becomes the Joker. But what I wanted to talk about was essentially the similarities, or I guess the differences, in the comic book series. Essentially, I wanted to talk about the Joker in the comic book series. Have you ever read any of the comic books?
Some of them, and I've actually owned quite a few of the offshoots,
Yes.
like
Do you
Dark
remember?
Horse and stuff like that.
Do you remember? I should preface all this by saying I was never big into all comics. There's many comics out there. The only comic book series that I ever got into deeply was Batman. So I saw that you were doing the show, and you were talking about the Joker, and of course the Joker is Batman's arch nemesis. There are many enemies that he has, but his single biggest enemy is the Joker.
Right.
Yeah. Do you remember in the according to the comic book series how he became the Joker?
Yeah, it's in I think it was Peter Nolan's The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
Now
That
that was
familiar.
one of the darker, like, because it wasn't in the regular grouping of the comics. It was in like, I can't remember if it was produced by Dark Horse or it was co-produced by Dark Horse, but either way, I know it was Peter Nolan's The Laughing Joke.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. The
It
point
was a
is,
great book, guys.
do you remember
Book.
why he fell? Do you remember why the Joker falls into what you could call nihilism, or whatever you want to call it, a descent into madness, or
the one bad day theory? Right?
Is it the one? I'm sorry, I don't
It's the
recall.
one bad day theory where his wife was killed. His pregnant wife was killed. He lost his job.
Remember how she died? That's right. He lost his job. That's right. And all in one day. That's right. That's right.
It's the one bad day theory. And a lot of other producers and I guess what do they call them, reviewers, have looked into a lot of the details of the Joker's fucking relationship with Batman and what he is in this fucking show, right? And they've essentially eliminated the fact that he's insane, and that he's actually not insane at all. He's actually super sane. So he realizes that he's in a comic, in this setting. But all the other characters don't, right? And there's one strip of comics where they put him in the Lazarus pit, which is supposed to drive people insane, and it made him normal, right? There's also the one where I think it was part of the same group of the Day Evil One, where he killed Batman, and he stopped being the Joker.
He ever killed Batman.
Yeah, he killed Batman. He thought he killed Batman.
I thought he killed Robin.
No, he did kill Robin, but he thought he killed Batman. And then he went back to being the normal guy before his wife was killed.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I didn't really. Maybe I didn't see that one.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them like that. And then at the end of that story, it turns out Batman's still alive, and he comes back to being the Joker. But when Batman was dead, I think it was going on for a year that he's, assumed that he was dead, and he went back
Oh
to a
wow,
normal
no, I
life.
didn't know that. Let's see. From my, it's been a while. It's been a while, but I thought the only person that's ever defeated Batman was Bane. Bane broke his back, and
Yeah,
then
no. He broke his
I
back.
think a doctor by the name of Mary Jane Jensen, nursed him back to health over the course of like 18 months or something like that. But yeah. I'm sorry to get too much into nerd land, but yeah, no, the whole Batman series is fascinating. It's I mean, of course, all the action, lots of action, but what I find especially fascinating is the psychology. You have all these, it's full of psychology, right? You have Batman. He's like essentially this rich waspy character. His parents are murdered, and so he has to make a decision. Is he going to lose faith in humanity? But no, he doesn't. He decides to protect humanity, and he directs all his energies to the basically he doesn't fall into nihilism. The Joker is also very smart and very resourceful, like Batman, but he goes the other way. He falls completely into nihilism, and then it's just this descent into madness. And there are a number of occasions where the Batman where Batman and Joker are talking like a prelude to a battle or a fight, and the Joker talks to him and says, like, why do you defend humanity? Or what, he says Gotham really is just it's just a way of saying humanity. Why do you defend humanity? Why do you defend Gotham? These people hate you, and that's true, right? Like whenever Gotham needs Batman, they love him, and then Batman comes in, he restores order, and then they outlaw the Batman and pathologize him and criminalize him.
Yeah.
Right? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah. Well, again, that's another theory in the whole hero verse, right? Where the better you make a hero, right, the more powerful the next villain's going to be. Because everybody likes a hero, but everybody likes to see a hero fall. And as for the comic where Robin was killed by the Joker, it's a death in the family is the
Is that what it
series.
was? Is that where he plants like a bomb, I think, on a truck or something, and one
He
of the
beats him to death with a baseball bat.
Is that what it is? Okay, yeah,
Oh
no, it's
yeah, it
been a
was
while.
fucking
It's been a
brutal.
while. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was like two, or I think there's like three Robins, but yeah, I know. It's been a while.
Yeah. There's a bunch
Yeah,
of
right.
Robins.
That whole Batman series is full of amazing motifs. It's full of psychology. And I was I was partially raised by a medical doctor who also was a psychoanalyst, and so I have a special interest in Batman because it's full of psychology. Anyway, one last thing I wanted to mention. Have you been seeing in the news, Mitchell, what's going on in Chicago? Some of the news stories, some of the laws, the election coming up, all the businesses leaving, the taxes going up, all that stuff?
No, I haven't gotten a lot of that at all. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of certain things, and certain people are pissed off, but I had no idea what they were pissed off about.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to talk about, just mention a couple of stories. One of them is so there's a big set of elections coming up in just a couple of days. Most
midterm.
people are thinking, most people thinking most political strategists are thinking that the Democrats are going to lose big, and the Republicans are going to win. And they're going to win back, both the House and the Senate and all this, and so I hope that happens. I'm very hopeful for that. And maybe even Illinois might have a new Republican governor, which would be great. And then also, have you heard of what's it called? The Safety Act that Chicago passed. It's coming. It's going to start starting next year.
Yeah, Cowboy. No. It's called the Purge Law, and it's been reported across the internet for quite some time, and it's fake news.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not fake news. You can rob people now with a gun and be out on the street the next day.
No, that's not what the law says. I've actually looked over the laws, and I've actually cleared this up on many, many other fucking channels about this. Okay, what the law says is basically if you commit a misdemeanor, right? Okay, you will get booked and charged and released that day with a court date. If you commit a forcible felony, which is in the statute, okay, if you look deeper into the law, forcible felonies are arson, murder, sex, rape, threatening politician. That is considered a forcible felony. And what that says is that you get no bail at all. You will sit in jail until your court date. So even if you can afford to bail yourself out, like if you do one of these horrendous crimes, you will get no bail at all. You will sit in jail until your crime date.
Is this the same as the other officer reported on, I guess, like a couple months ago, maybe a month?
I know the video that went viral. It was the mayor of Orland Park, okay, and he was the one. He was the one that made the video go viral, and he said that you get no bail if you commit forcible felonies, which are arson, murder, robbery, rape, any kind of like. Yeah, kidnapping too is one of them. No, this law is completely fake news.
What's the name? What's the name of the? No, it's not fake. They're definitely no. They're definitely
it's called the Safety Act.
Safety Act. They're definitely making it easier to get out of jail.
Yeah, I thought this guy said that there would be no bail and we would not be holding anybody.
No. There's no bail for people who commit misdemeanors and spend time in jail waiting their court dates. If you commit a felony, which is under the Forcible Felonies Act of this law, you don't get out. You got to sit there until your court date.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that again. And then
Illinois will no longer arrest criminals for robberies, burglaries.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Carjacking and shit like that.
That is fake news. It's completely fake news.
I'll have to look. Hey, maybe you're right. I'm gonna have to look into that then, because it sounds like maybe I'm wrong then.
Hang on, guys. Chaos.
I just want to throw in there, Cowboy, red, blue. They're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, you know that, Chaos.
Yeah, I know. At the same time, like
either way, you shouldn't be getting your hopes up.
I know what you're saying. But I think I sort of agree with you, but I sort of don't. I think that
lower taxes and all that stuff. There are some perks that come with when Republicans.
I think that Republicans are. Republicans are tiptoeing.
Fucktards. They don't work.
Chaos is right. They're the same. They're the same sides of the same bird that controls the political party.
But again,
I think the Republicans are tiptoeing towards authoritarianism. I think the Democrats are sprinting towards it. I know what you're saying, though. I know what you're saying.
They're bull rushing towards it.
No,
the Republicans, man, all that is Democrats been coming over to the Republican side, masquerading as Republicans the whole time and passing Democratic policies.
Sure.
But what I wanted to clear up is the purge law. The purge law is not what you guys think it is. It's fake news.
That whole thing was disproven, but there are some.
All right, guys, I'll jump back out and back in the train.
Somebody could break into your house and you can't forcibly remove them. I mean, you can, but you could get in trouble. Someone's living in your back.
Right. See, and that's what I'm saying. That's so
you
chaos.
Can remove them, but you can't.
In a way, chaos. You're agreeing.
It's a double-edged sword. Well, there were some things that were disproven, though. A lot of that was disproven, but from what I've heard and understood, somebody could be living in your shed and
you discover them, and you can get in trouble for forcibly evicting them using your own force. Right? I understand that. No, it's even worse. For example, in Chicago, if you have a gun and you're home and whatever, 3 ruffians break in and you shoot them, and let's say you kill one of them, the other 2 flee, you can go to jail. You could say, hey, I was in fear of my life. And they're going to say, well, but you shot them in the back. And so obviously they were fleeing. And so there's this idea that, like, if they're fleeing, you cannot shoot them, but that's because this is a Democratic run area. In Florida, Louisiana, Texas, most of the South and half of the Western states, they have something called castle doctrine. If someone breaks into your home, it doesn't matter whether they're coming at you. They're toast. It doesn't matter if they're coming at you. It doesn't matter if they're running. You can shoot them in the back. You can shoot them in the back, and you will not go to jail. And so you say, oh, the Democrats and Republicans are the same thing. No, they're not. Yes, they are, but one is worse.
There are some perks that come with when the Democrats or when the Republicans are in control, but for the most part, they both work for the same batch of retards.
I hear you. No, I hear you.
Guys, can I just get a second here? I'm actually going to end the stream and allow us to talk in the back.
The party just started.
Yeah, that's right. Actually,
talk in the back. That way I can step away.
I'm higher than a giraffe's balls. Like, I'm not as high as the giraffe's balls like Polska's. I'm higher. I'm past the asshole. Let's go.
I'll drop the link for everybody.
I'm going to take off as well. I just very quickly also wanted to mention that the economic system, the economic engine that is running Chicago is slowly deteriorating too. I don't know if you guys saw in the last month, like a whole bunch of corporations, just in the last like 40 or 50 days, Citadel has left, Caterpillar has left, Boeing has left. I think just yesterday or day before yesterday, what is it? Tyson Foods. You guys know the company, chicken company.
They
Tyson?
could honestly get shut down and disappear for all I care. But
they're criminals themselves.
Dude.
Tyson is leaving. Boeing is leaving. So and they're all citing the same thing. Taxes are going too high, and crime is becoming a problem. And it's just like, slowly, Chicago's just becoming just one. I don't know. It's not good. So yeah, kind of.
Something like that, man.
I know there was an Escape from LA, but wasn't there an Escape from Detroit or something too?
Escape from Detroit, I think, was the first one. Escape from LA was the remake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to end the stream here right now, guys, and I want to thank everybody for coming and everybody that's helped out with the donations on the fundraiser. Thank you very much, and we will see you guys next time. But the link is there for the after party. So, good night.